gonna turn you guys on.
Yeah.
We're not gonna have any. We're not gonna have any time for now. Eventually we will.
Well, maybe turn us on so we can provide some
Yeah.
content.
And I think we're back here, Brittany. A couple technical delays before we get underway, but we're just waiting for this 200 breast to get going on the first night of racing, our first event.
And we are just as sad as the rest of you here. It is hard to see an event start like this, but the athletes are poised, they're ready to go, and this 200 breaststroke is getting ready to start.
And it looks like we might be having something happening here, and I think, Brittany, all eyes are going to be on lane number 4. Mary Sophie Harvey underneath that standard, starting to focus on this event. Hasn't done it since 2017, and it's really been paying off for her all season long. And here we go. We are off, and our first event is the women's 200-meter breaststroke, trying to qualify for the World Championships at standard 225.98. Lane number 4 in the middle of the screen. Your top qualifier in the white cap from Camo, Mary Sophie Harvey, has really been focusing on this breaststroke, as we mentioned earlier, and it's been really paying off for her this year.
I think the thing to keep an eye on is with Angus and Lepage, they swim a very similar race as 100-meter specialists, whereas Mary Sophie Harvey builds into it a bit more, almost even splitting the race. This morning she was out very calm and relaxed and then had an absolutely amazing back half. But when we talk about events with openings, this is one of them. The first and second place qualifiers for the Olympics last summer for Canada are both not here. Kelsey Walker retired, Sydney Pickram deciding not to compete this year. So there's a wide open opportunity here, and that standard of 225.91 is for the taking.
Well, Mary Sophie Harvey in the middle of the pool. You see now she's taking over the lead. Angus tucked back, her shoulder just behind. She was just over that standard this morning. We'll see what they get to. They were out in 110.1 and 109.99 respectively this morning. Look at this, 109.26. That is 0.4 of a second faster than her lifetime best split for Mary Sophie Harvey at the 100.
And Mary Sophie Harvey just knows how to race. I spoke to her last week, and she said she wasn't going to taper for this meet, and yet she's swimming and riding the water so well. I wish I could swim breaststroke like that, or I tell you all the different intricacies of how to get a stroke like that. But the best thing I can say is she looks strong. She's riding the water nice and high, and expect that tempo to pick up on this final 50 of the 200.
And don't count out the top of your screen. Lane number 3, Alexandra Lepage. She is the 8th fastest 200 breaststroker of all time in Canada. She's been down to 224.70. She's just 5/100ths of a second behind Angus. Angus a second back of Mary Sophie Harvey, but all 3 of these ladies much faster than they were this morning in the prelims.
That time standard we're keeping an eye out for, Aqua A standard 225.91. Let's try to see if Canada can send 2 athletes to World Championships in the 200 breaststroke.
And here we go at the stretch. It is Harvey. She has 15 meters to go. She passes that red marker. You can see her there coming to the underneath the flags, 5 meters. Her best time is a 224.2, and she crushes that. 223.40. Second is Sophie Angus, well underneath that cut as well, at 224.84, and a great swim. We've got 3 of them underneath that standard. Alexandra Lepage, 225.91.
And a phenomenal swim there. Alexandra Lepage, like you said, just tied the Angus. Can we just take a moment for that? A huge personal best time. It is very strong when it comes to Canadian rankings, but also world rankings. This is a really, really encouraging place for where our future of Canadian breaststroke looks. Mary Sophie Harvey, a personal best time. She set her best time a month ago at the French Open, but this is a really, really great way for her to start this meet.
And great for Angus. Now up into the top 10 all-time Canadian women under the 200-meter breaststroke. And let's not forget, we've got Shima Tagavi right at that standard to qualify for World Juniors. She was just a little bit off. She was 230.33, but the youngster, just 13 years of age, plays here in the women's 200 breaststroke.
And we'll hear shortly from our winner, who's about to talk to Chris Heinmark-Watson.
Mary Sophie Harvey, 2:23.40 is at the time is okay for right now, but it's in the top 10 in the world so far this year.
Yeah, I mean, I've been training a bit more my breaststroke this year, so I know I'm not fully prepared for this meet, so 2:23 is pretty good for now, and I'm excited for the rest of the meet.
So under that World Aqua A time in between now and those World Championships in Singapore to get ready for this event, the 200.
I mean, I think I'm just going to keep doing what I've been doing because it's been working well for the past 2 years, and see what it's going to be in Singapore, so I'm pretty excited.
And a busy schedule for you for the rest of the days here at trials?
Yes.
We'll let you go get warmed down. Congratulations, your winner here tonight, Mary Sophie Harvey.
Great swim by Harvey there in the 200-meter breaststroke. She's up now the 6th fastest swimmer in the world so far on this event.
We now welcome athletes in our junior final of the women's 200 breaststroke.
Top 20, it was 2:24. That was Sophie Angus and some teams there. Now we've got our junior finals coming up.
In 7th, representing the Greater Ottawa Kingfish, Chloe Danks. In 6th, Commercial Club, Bianca Nui. In 5, for the Mark Aquatic Club, Kisa Tenisalo. In 4, Kristen Kehoe. In 3, for your hometown Pacific Coast Swimming, Al Seymour. In 2, Western Aquatic Club, Julie Nolan McCarthy. And in lane 1 of our junior finals in the Campbell Clipwell, Sarah Hagen.
So we're getting set here for the junior final of the women's 200 breaststroke. Now, interesting, we have a lot of qualifications on the line at this meet, but one of them being the World Junior Swimming Championships coming up this August in Romania. So these finals are really a chance for these athletes to try to put themselves in contention for that roster. But important to note that the A finalists that are under that age category as well are also eligible to compete.
So really that's important for everybody who is back home watching. There is an A final that is open to all ages, junior and the open category. Then we've got next final like you're watching right now in the 200 breaststroke. This is only junior age eligible swimmers. And then we got a B final to follow.
So that's definitely a story we're going to be following throughout. I mean, we won't know the exact team until it comes down to Thursday night, but all of these athletes are really putting on a show in attempt to put themselves on that roster. Shima Tagabi, though, how about that in the final? She is only 13 years old, and I was hoping we might see a 13-14 national age group record, which, funny enough, has stood since 1998. Another high act swimmer in Courtney Chu. She's only 13, though, so she can go for that record for a full other year.
She's got a whole other year, and she was just off of her best time here tonight, so she has actually been a little bit closer to that Canadian national age group mark, and she's got plenty of opportunities left this summer, and she's put herself in a real good position to get named to that World Junior team. We're coming in now here to the first 100 split here in our junior final. It looks like it's lane number 7, Chloe Danks from the Greater Ottawa Kingfish. She's first through 1:13.33. She has second up on Nell Sandborn, swimming in lane number 3. The standard that these swimmers have to go, 2:30.08. That is the standard for the World Junior team.
You can see at a lane 5 right now making her move from Markin to Tabasco is really coming on strong. After that wall, it was like a completely different athlete. The tempo's picking up. Different strategies here in the 200 breaststroke, which is fun to note. A lot of people like to take it out nice and fast if they're more 100 specialists, and then others really use this third 50 to make their move and try to push the pace on the final 50.
Yeah, it looks like it is lane number 3, Sandborn, the local swimmer from Pacific Coast Swimming. Out in front, 1:53.22, a great third 50. Look at this, 38.7. Through that third 50, outsplitting the rest of the field by a very comfortable margin. Sandborn is looking very strong in lane number 3 this morning. She swam a 2:36.98, and she can hold on to that pace that she did on that last 50. Should be well underneath that for Sandborn, a full body length up on the field as we come to the finish.
And she has the hometown advantage here. The crowd is getting loud, bringing her to the wall.
And it is going to be swimmer Mel Sanborn, Pacific Coast Swimming in lane number 3. A good job from this morning, 2:33.36. 3-second drop from this morning to take our junior final second. Chanel Baudouin, a good swim by her as well, 2:35.97. And third in the junior final, actually it's a tie. Tessa Tabasolo also down to 2:35.97. She'll be tied for second in the junior final of the women's 200 breaststroke.
Told you she was coming on strong in the 700.
And that she was. Well, some good swimming, some good drops from those youngsters. Our junior final. Moving on now to the B final. So the B final, a mix of all ages again, junior and opening. Another opportunity to swim.
Looks like we have another technical difficulty that's just working out. So hopefully the system just making up words as we go. I'm not a technology person. If it's not obvious, Jason, I sometimes struggle to even turn my own phone on. So when there's a glitch in the system, I am no help.
Technical difficulty, general and enough, it covers all of the challenges I'm sure we'll be running into. Some good swimming so far on our first night here at the Bell Canadian Swimming Trials. 3 swimmers in the women's 200 breaststroke underneath that standard. That's a great sign of things to come.
And I think without Wog, without Pickram, that was going to be a big question mark here is who's going to fill the shoes. And these girls in breaststroke just proved that they're ready to fill the shoes. That makes me really excited as well for the 100 because we just saw 300 in the 200, which arguably is kind of their least of the strong events, especially LePage and well, we talked Angus as the 100 specialist normally, but now she puts up a 224, and I'm starting to think maybe the 200 breaststroke should be more her craft. So really awesome to get to watch that and be able to see the growth at her age to specialize in a 200. Like she's changing the narrative. Normally as you get older, you go down shorter. Now I'm watching the likes of Katie Ledecky. We're all watching the likes of a Katie Ledecky who's breaking world records in one of her longest races at 28 years old, and is proving that, you know what, nothing is a science. Nothing is exactly the way it needs to be, and we're all just developing and evolving as the sport evolves, which is really cool. And as a fan and somebody that retired at 22 years old, I'm really inspired by these athletes that are making secondary pushes towards their career down the road.
Well, it's never too late, Brittany.
It's never too late.
Never too
Are
late.
you telling me to come back?
Well, now as they're going up, she's going from the 100 to 200, perhaps.
Yes.
You want to look at the 5K, the 10K open water.
Open water has been calling. No, I am so terrified of open water. I'm not scared to admit it. So that is not in my future. And these athletes have way surpassed anything I could now do in the pool. So I will leave it to them to do what they do best.
Well, you talk about Angus swimming up to the 200, and I'm looking at Mary Sophie Harvey, and she until this season, she had not gone a best time in this 200 breaststroke for 8 years. Her previous best time was all the way back in 2017, and she did it, I think it's the 3rd or 4th time she's got a best time in that event. Now down to 2:23.4, as you mentioned, the 6th fastest time in the world. She is such a diverse sort of slate of entries, potentially for coming up here in the World Championships. She's going to have some things she's going to have to...
Hi, Grandma.
Hi, sweetie. I was just thinking about you.
Well, guess who I just ran into?
Who?
Ryan Reyes.
I remember that boy. You were real sweet on him.
Grandma, no one says that anymore.
Well, what would you say?
I don't know. I'm low-key obsessed.
Like he's a hunk?
More like a snack.
Like you're hungry?
More like thirsty.
Sounds like he's the bee's knees.
I love these calls. I literally never know what you're going to say.
There you go. What do you think, Rover? Come on, Rover. Come on. Rover, I said go. Go now, Rover. Silly dog.
Red Bull gives you wings.
The new Red Bull Zero is here. New can, new flavor. Zero sugar, 100% wings.
We'll looks like we still have a few technical issues to get sorted out before we do get underway in the rest of the events.
Should we give a little preview on what else is to come tonight? So we do have the 200 breaststrokes just wrapping, well, hopefully wrapping on the women's side, and then we will see the men do the same. So it's A final, junior final, B final. Be very exciting. The women's side, there's going to be potentially a handful of women under that Aqua A standard. We're all going to have to get used to the different terminology now.
For all of us, yeah.
Kylie Moss, of course, a former world record holder in that event, will be highlighted in lane number 4. And then we'll move over to the men as well, where we have Olympic semi-finalist Blake Tierney and a back healthy and happy Cole Pratt, which I know we're pretty excited about up in the booth here. Then we have some Paralympic champion Nick Bennett swim the 100 breaststroke tonight as well. We'll see the 50 and 100 on the para side, and then the 400 freestyle. So definitely one of those. Sorry, I didn't even get to elaborate, but we're going to see Summer McIntosh in the 400 freestyle. I just kind of breezed over that one. I think I honestly thought maybe they were starting the next heat, so I wanted to move on. But we're going to, of course, see the former world record holder in the 400 freestyle, Summer McIntosh, here to try to prove something to this West Coast crowd. There's a lot of expectations on that youngster, but man, does she know how to rise to them.
Absolutely. You can see there's lots of Summer fans here in the crowd. We've seen the signs all over, and she's back. You know, it's been 3 years, I think, since she's been in Victoria. Last time we held the trials here was the last time that she raced, and really, that was sort of the springboard year for her. I mean, a young phenom at the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games, which was, you know, just 6 months earlier in 2021. She went on, broke that 4-minute mark at the Commonwealth Games, and really has not looked back since in that event. And Brittany, we talked about it earlier, how exciting that was for us to be able to call that world record in 2023 of McIntosh's. She was on the podium last summer, so everybody very excited to see that 400 freestyle coming up later.
And it's a fun one because, you know, she came really, when we were calling that race in 2023, like at that time, never had a world record before. We weren't necessarily expecting it. But now when she races, we almost are gearing up thinking that it could happen at any point in any event, truly. And that's what makes it so fun to watch her compete. And that's what really she's done to elevate this sport in Canada right now. But the 400 freestyle, if you were to ask me, you know, a month ago, do I think Summer's breaking the world record tonight? My answer would have realistically been likely not. I think, you know, anywhere in the 356, 57 range would be really strong. She's never been quite back there since that 356 time. But then again, it's Summer. So in a 355 too, I don't know. Could it happen? Absolutely. And that's what makes this sport so fun. You could be so dialed in. You could be her coach even and know what she splits every day, and yet you don't know what we're going to see tonight, and that makes it fun. I know she won't be fully tapered for this meet, but often when an athlete, you know, travels and they have a couple days and they're doing a little bit less volume than they typically would if they were in the middle of a full training block, I think Summer is one athlete that doesn't need much of a taper. I think she's going to drop down and swim well throughout the week. This is a good chance for her to practice what the lineup she wins. So I was talking to a few coaches on deck earlier, and we were saying, you know, do you think she's going to give it a rip? And I'm like, well, why wouldn't she? You know, this is an opportunity to race. It doesn't matter where you are, at what level you are. There's always an opportunity to race, and as an athlete, this is a training opportunity for her as well to just see what she can do.
Well, absolutely right. And she's got about 6 weeks before she has to get going with the World Championship. She's swimming a very big program here. You mentioned it earlier this week. She's trying to decide on what maybe that last event is going to be. We're going to see her racing all weekend long, but this 400-meter freestyle, obviously once she broke a world record in, she's been on the international podium at all sorts of different levels, likely going to stay on her slate of events, but you know, she has some others that she will be choosing from later this week.
And I'd be remiss to not mention Ella Jansen too in the prelims. She's in her freshman year at the University of Tennessee right now, and in the prelims this morning looked very, very strong. Often when the athletes go their first year in NCAA, I was one of them that I struggled in my first year. I did not adjust well back to long course that year. So it's always a bit of a question mark when it comes to the trials to see where they're at. And I think that was a confidence builder swim for Ella Jansen this morning to get right around that standard. She knows she's been under it before. She swam smooth. She was out in a 2:01, very strong first 200. So I expect really great things from Ella tonight. I think that one's a fun one to keep an eye on. She, of course, swam the 400 IM at the Olympics, but this 400 free has been an event she's been dabbling in and out with. It's always been there, but it's not always her focus. So it, for me, it's great to see her back and swimming this 400 free at this level, and I think she's poised for a really great race tonight as well.
Right, and she's so just off that cut this morning. She's been as fast as 4:07, so it's well within the realm of possibility. It's always exciting when we have multiple swimmers going underneath that very, very fast standard, that World Aquatic standard. And we'll see her coming up in that 400-meter freestyle. It is one of the last events that we'll be seeing here tonight. We still have some breaststroke to get through, and hopefully this little technical glitch will be over shortly, because coming up after we got the men, and it's something we talked about earlier, that the men and Oliver Dawson, he won this event at the Olympic trials last year, but he was over the standard. He had a great Junior Pan Pacific Championships, got on the podium in the 100-meter breaststroke.
Take a deep breath, know that they're ready. Take maybe one extra activation, adjust their time frame a little down to the minute that you're scheduled to. So we're now almost, 15 minutes delayed. So it's going to be a challenge for them to try to turn this around. But one thing I will say, as much as it's unfortunate, is this is the way the athletes are preparing for the things they can't control when it comes to a World Championships, a Junior Worlds, wherever they are. And just like that, we are now gearing up for the B final of the women's 200 breaststroke, and hopefully that was the last of our glitches through the night.
Well, your timing was impeccable, Brittany. We're back on now for the B final of the women's 200-meter breaststroke. Off we go on this one. The top qualifier in the B final, swimming in lane number 4, Peyton Maloney. From the Greater Ottawa Kingfish. She swam 2:36.62 this morning. She's the top seed in the middle of the pool, looking strong for this first 25 meters. That's lane number 3, Corinne Vezina. That's the University of Laval. She was at 2:38.42 this morning.
And if you're wondering how they break down the B final, so what I like to call it is a best of the rest final. So all of the top 8 athletes were in the A final, and then any remaining 18 and under, the next following 8 would go to the junior, and then if you're not 18 and under, your immediate go-to would be right here to the B, and then the trickle down of the rest of the 18 and unders come here to the B as well. So we'll see kind of a wide range of ages. In this one specifically, we have a 14-year-old down in lane 7, in Lily Chai, all the way up to two 21-year-olds. We got Peyton Maloney in lane number 4, and then we also have Erin Epp in lane number 6.
Maloney out on that first 50, 34.8, so she's a half second better than she was this morning in the prelims. Looks like she's going to carry that lead here through the first 100 meters. And Maloney is 1:14.7 this morning, so 1:14.2. She's holding that pace a half second better. Turning in next, Harley Monson in lane number 1 at the top of your screen. Not that far behind, 1:14.77.
Maloney looking really smooth through the water, as you can see. A long glide, which appears to be pulling some momentum with each stroke. Definitely building into this third 50, though, keeping her about body length lead on the rest of the field going into the final turn.
So 1:55.12 was a split time by Maloney at the 150-meter mark this morning. She's going to carry a big lead, almost a body length to this last turn. Maloney in lane number 4, 1:54.20, so she's much better than she was this morning. Credit to that third 50 down at 39.99. Monson out in lane number 1, turns in a second. Monson, as we mentioned, swam 2:39.51, just 16 years of age. She swims same club as Oliver Dawson. This is the Grand Prairie Piranhas in northern Alberta.
Peyton Maloney tightening up a little bit, but still putting in a lot of effort coming into this final wall. If she's able to pull off another 39, this would be a really strong swim.
And lane number 5 moving up now as we come to the finish. Danica Etier from the University of Calgary Swim Club. And she's got the momentum. And at the touch, it is Etier. Look at this, 2:36.93. 0.2 of a second faster than she did in the prelims. Maloney gets second. And down lane number 7, Lily Chai.
In the B final.
That's a great last 50 at Etier from the University of Calgary Swim Club. The Dinos in lane number 5. 36:93 was the winning time. And up next is the men's race that we were talking about, Brittany.
Let's see if we can get some men under this Aqua A standard. Here are the lane assignments. Looks like we actually will not be doing the next race yet. We're going to the medal ceremonies. Apologies for any confusion. We are getting set to show the medal ceremony for the women's 200-meter breaststroke. Again, what a performance by all three of these women. It was a strong races throughout. We saw some PBs. Right off her PB, Alexandre Lepage right here, getting the bronze medal, 225. One of the few times she's been into that 225 barrier. She was a medalist at the Junior World Championships. She was the Junior World Champion in this very event. Got to give credit where credit is due. And then Sophie Angus, of course, with that 224, a huge personal best time. Another PB for our winner, Mary Sophie Harvey. So talk about a strong start to the night. Other than our technical glitches, the swimming's been there, Jason.
Absolutely. And in 2 girls into the top 20 here for the 200-meter breaststroke, 6 for Mary Sophie Harvey. So looks like she's planning on swimming that event this summer at the World Championships. Hopefully it fits into her schedule of events. She's going to be a very busy lady, as I'm sure we'll see as we get going through this 6 days of competition. Sophie Angus, a big best time for her, down to 224. As we mentioned, she's now up inside of our all-time Canadians in this event, top 8.
And I love this. I know we always talk about Sophie's story and how cool it was for her to make her push at that point in her career, kind of getting a second chance post-university, going to the center, pushing toward her Olympic dream, and then last summer, of course, achieving it. But after the Olympics, you got to think she maybe considered, should I tie up? Should I consider retirement? And for her to not only continue to swim, but then prove that she can continue to drop time in these big races. This, to me, says Sophie Angus is going to be swimming for another quad, in my opinion. I think when you have a swim like that, you're poised for a longer and very exciting career. So really great to see. But you mentioned how busy Mary Sophie Harvey is going to be. Tonight she made the decision already to scratch from the 400 freestyle, so she's making strategic one. I think loves a double more than anyone. She goes to every race.
She does it all the time.
Yeah, and so if we're talking about a double, I think that's inspiring because we have to get back to that understanding that, really high-level performers that are versatile have to do multiple races on multiple nights, and that's normal. So I think it's great to see that she's made sure that was the thing, and she's continued to swim all the events she wants to swim. And I asked her about kind of deciding what she wanted to swim long term, and one of her goals of last year was to start specializing, I guess is the best way to say it. But then she said, I wish it was easier, but I said that's not necessarily a bad thing. If you can continue to be going best times across the board in events and qualifying for national teams and playing around with your lineup, that's not an awful place to be.
Absolutely, and I think you mentioned it earlier with Sophie Angus, going from the 100 to the 200. I feel like that's got to give her, we're talking about will she swim on to the next quad, but this has to give her all sorts of confidence in an event that, as you said earlier, it's usually as you age you start to swim down in distance, but here she is swimming up. I think it's a great sign of things to come for Angus.
And that gets me even more excited for the 100 breaststroke coming up later in the week. We keep saying weekend because we're so used to meets happening on the weekend, and this is a weekend. We're Saturday night in Victoria. It is lively in here, but the meet's actually going all the way to Thursday, so we're going to be speaking backwards probably by day 4 or 5, but note that this meet is a 6-day competition. It starts today on a Saturday, and it will finish and wrap up on Thursday evening.
And here we go. This is our junior medal presentations, and there is Shima Tagavi. She swam in the A final. She was down to 2:30. She swam 2:30 this morning, so great young future for this 13-year-old.
I'm so excited to watch her continue to strive for new barriers in this sport, and she is one to watch as we watch her grow. She's only 13 years of age, and I hope by next summer we're talking about the 13-14 races.
Here we go now.
Hi, Grandma.
Hi, sweetie. I was just thinking about you.
Well, guess who I just ran into?
Who?
Ryan Reyes.
I remember that boy. You were real sweet on him.
Grandma, no one says that anymore.
Well, what would you say?
I don't know, I'm low-key obsessed.
Like he's a hunk?
More like a snack.
Like you're hungry?
More like thirsty.
Sounds like he's the bee's knees.
I love these calls. I literally never know what you're gonna say.
I believe now we've got the lane assignments coming up for the men's 200-meter breaststroke.
So this is really a middle battle between lanes 3, 4, and 5. Or, of course, that's the assumption we have going into this race. Oliver Dawson, the youngster we're talking a lot about lately, he won this event at Olympic trials last year. He just wasn't quite fast enough to get under the time standard. He did, however, set the national age group record, his best time of 2:12.42. Interesting enough, in this race, the Canadian record still stands from Mike Brown back in 2008. So it's been quite some time since we've seen a Canadian under that 2:10 time, but would love to see it happen tonight, that Aqua A standard 2:10.32. And of course, I'd be remiss to not mention Apollo Hess teammates of Sophie Angus. So if he saw that last race, I think he'd be pretty excited about where their training's at.
There we go with the men's 200-meter breaststroke. Clean start in the middle. And again, all eyes are going to be on the youngster, Oliver Dawson, the winner of the Olympic trials last year. But the race was swum differently by all three of these men in the middle of the pool. Hess in 3, Dawson in 4, Mignot in 5. Let's see what we've got in store here tonight. Hess and Mignot were out very fast compared to Dawson this morning.
Yeah, and Justice Mignot was 3rd at Olympic trials last year. He looked very strong in the prelims, just off his personal best time. So when we talk a lot about what they do in the prelims, it's more just to say, what kind of shape are they in? Where are they at coming into this meet? How are they looking in the water? So when we say they have an encouraging prelim swim, it really is about how they look in the water and maybe making a statement of where they want to be going into the final. Now, Oliver Dawson, we've watched him on this final 50. He's not going to trick me anymore. I know that I have to stay in my own zone, knowing that he's going to make a big push on the last 50.
And a slightly different approach here for Dawson in the middle of the pool. He's actually taken over the lead as he comes to the 100. So his best ever split was a 104.57. He's a full second faster than that here. 103.54. Mignot turns next at 4:16, and then Hess at 4:26. So we'll see if Dawson can take and put together that great out he did on the first 100 with the same back end that we saw at trials. His qualifying standard, he could be getting close to it.
He's starting to pull away now. We know this momentum on the back half is his strength. He also has, that young energy to really fight for those final matches, but man, oh man, is he looking strong. 2:10.32 is the time we're keeping an eye out for.
And 1:37.1, so he is on pace right now to get down there. He has to close very fast. He's got to close in a 33.2, which is right where he did last year. He had an incredible last 50. Let's see what he's got. Dawson now with 25 meters left to go. You can see he's past the lanes. And there's Hess turning in, he's second in lane number 3. Mino third and 5. Keep your eye on the clock. 2:10:32 is the time. Dawson, he looks fantastic with 5 meters left to go. Dawson, 2:11.25, just over that standard. But a new best time by more than a full second for Oliver Dawson, Grand Prairie in 4th.
And a new national age group record for the 15 to 17 age category. A phenomenal swim there for him. Unfortunately, not quite enough to get him on the World Championships team, but he's also got other events this week. And there's other considerations to keep in mind as well. So we'll have to watch as things fall. But a really strong swim there for Oliver Dawson and a really bright future ahead for him.
Well, and absolutely, there's no guarantees. He did go underneath the secondary qualifying standard in that 200 breaststroke by just a bit. That standard's 2:11.62. Going underneath that standard guarantees you nothing, but it was still a best time, and as you mentioned, Brittany, a new national age group record.
Yeah, that secondary selection standard is something we're going to refer to as well. So basically, if the winner is not under that A standard, then they can still be in consideration if we're not at the max quota spots going into the final day of competition. And soon we're going to get ready to hear from our winner, how he thinks about that race with the very own Chris Heinmark Watson.
Standing on deck now is your winner of the men's 200 breaststroke, Oliver Dawson, 2:11.25, a new national age group record, 15-17, the fastest 15-17-year-old in Canadian history. You're going to be happy with that time here tonight.
Yeah, I'm very happy. I was aiming for that all season.
So a national age group record, but also under that Swimming Canada secondary selection standard for the World Championships this summer. Was that a target, obviously, coming into these trials?
Yeah, that's the goal, and I still have 2 of the races, right? So anything can happen.
So what do you do now? You've done your first event here. You've got yourself on that nominations list for consideration. You've got 2 more events coming up, I'm assuming the 50 and the 100 breast. What will you concentrate on for the next few days here in Victoria?
Well, tomorrow, just work on the 100 pace, right? And then go into the 100 and go for it, right?
Go for it. Oliver Dawson, your national champion here tonight, and a new national age group record time in the 200 breaststroke.
So many words for Oliver Dawson there. He's gonna be a hoot to watch over his career. Loves to chat.
Well, and a good swim, best time by a second. You know, he didn't meet what he was looking to do, but you know, he's edging his way down there, taking off a full second off of his own national age group mark.
So we're getting set to welcome the junior finalists here. Our junior final getting set to go here. There were a few juniors. One of them in the last heat was the winner, Oliver Dawson, and the only other one was Tanner Cole. So, oh, sorry, 2 more. Benjamin Kescon as well. Sescon, do we think? Sescon, probably.
I think it is Chesson, yep. The top qualifier in 4, Belisek, he went a personal best this morning by 3 seconds down to 2:19.19. The standard that he's got to get to down, Brittany, for the World Juniors is 2:16.09. So still a little bit more that he's got to make up. He's very strong in the middle of the pool. That's a 3-second personal best already by Vesig. He swims for the Hayek Swim Club.
When you're going a PB at an event like this, and now you got lane 4 in a final, I don't care if it's the junior final or not. This is a lot of confidence riding on him right now. He looks strong as he swims. He has confidence that, you know, I can do this, I can come in and I can race against some of the best in Canada. So it's really great to see, and a really strong drop, like you said, coming in and going a lifetime best in the prelim.
Well, another one of these youngsters out of the High Swim Club here in New Westminster, BC. It's Veseg out in front in lane number 4. So he split 105.4 at the 100. He's got a body length on the field as he comes to the halfway mark in 4. Keep our eye on that split. 105.42 this morning. 5.66 here tonight. So he's right on where he was. He's got Jacob Bujev in lane number 5, turning back a second behind him at 106.6. He's going to need to hold this pace. If he wants to get down, he's going to have to pick it up in these last 250s, really, if he wants to get down to that standard 216.0.
And the rest of the field appears to be catching up a little bit here on him. Leader is not as swimming in as clear water though, but Jacob Bugalov is coming in lane number 5, swimming unattached, only separated by 0.5 of a second now.
Well, Bugalov really picking it up in lane number 5. Velasquez still with the lead at 141.47. He can hold this pace. He'll get down and go better than he did. Like, he started the day at 222. He's been 219. Let's see if he can hold on and shave a little bit more off of that time here tonight. But look at lane number 5, really having a great back end to this race. That's Jacob Bujev. Split 142 at the 150-meter mark. And our swimmer, that's swimming down to 218.40. That's a lifetime best for him. He came in, I talked to his coach earlier today, down at 219. Best time for him winning our our junior final, time of 218.40.
And Evan Velasquez also another drop, 218.94 there. So getting under not only 220 today, but now he's under 219. Very encouraging swims here for the youngsters. And one of my favorite parts about these junior finals is we're getting to know the athletes that for years we're going to be chatting about in the A final.
Well, it's nice to see them develop, and I think that's one of the great things. And this is something that we talked about years and years ago, that transition from junior team one summer to the senior national team the next year, and how it's always so exciting to be able to see that happen from our athletes, whether it's the young girls, the young boys, moving from the junior development program up to Canada's national senior team.
We're getting set here for the B final, and something to note is international swimmers are able to come and compete at these trials, but they cannot be competing in the A final, so a lot of them will come and swim in the B final. For this one, we do have a B finalist in lane number 4, Alexis Savickas, and he's a Florida Gator, but he swims for Lithuania, and he's going to try to swim a standard here to try to qualify him for the World Championships.
So he's seated down at a 210. I think he's been a little bit faster. That cut that he has to make, it's a 210.32. It's the same standard that Dawson was aiming for. And this morning, Savickas, he swam 213.44. It was the fastest time that we saw in the pool this morning in the tuna breast.
Yeah, and he has been in the 209 range before, so it's not, otherworldly to get to a 210.32. Often there will potentially be a secondary consideration standard as well for his country, but he is a very strong 200 breaststroker. He's the SEC champion in the 100 200 breaststroke back in 2024. As I mentioned, swimming for the Florida Gators. Very comfortable so far, approaching the 75-meter mark. Definitely really long, strong strokes. You can see the glide at the end. He's kind of undulating through the water really nicely, not rushing at all. Hopefully he can kind of make his move here on the second 100.
So very long and smooth in the middle of the pool of Savickas. You can see him getting out into that streamlined position at the end of the stroke. And let's see where he is at the 100, 104.63. So he's a little bit off from where he was this morning. He was a bit quicker. He was down to 103.83. So we'll see if he can pick it up here on the back end of our B final, the men's 200-meter breaststroke.
Lane 6 looking really strong there. Nathan Thomas at a Point Claire, kind of getting into his second year, trying to be one of the top Canadians here in this final.
So coming up to the 150-meter mark, and the field is trying to bunch up against Savickas. Lane number 3, Justin Young from Olympian Swim Club. He swam at 218.46 this morning. He's going to turn in second behind Savickas, who splits at 139.20, so just a little bit off again from where he was this morning. Young turns the second and a half back at 140.77. And as Bridget mentioned down at the bottom, Nathan Thomas in lane number 6, Point Claire, doing a good job as well. He's in the top 3 here here in the B final as we come to the close. And Savikius in lane number 4 still staying long and strong. He'll look to be better than he was this morning at 2:13.44. Going to be just over that World Aquatics qualifying standard, 2:13.62. Wins the B final. Young turns in at 2:16.23 per second, 4/10 back. Nathan Thomas in lane number 6 with a 2:16.63.
And a little shout out there to our 8th place finisher, Zakael Boudreau. I watched him win a non-circle seeded heat this morning in prelims, a very close finish. But this is what this meet is all about, right? When you win your heats in the morning, you put yourself in a position to qualify for the finals and get a second swim. So it's all about these 100ths of a second, and it's really great to see somebody from outside the circle seeded heats, which are the top 3 they are the top 3 seeded heats worth of athletes. So that would be across the board. We have 8 lanes, times it by 3, we got 24 athletes. And if you're outside of that and you're getting into this top 8, top 16, that's a really, really great improvement, but it also gives you a chance to swim at a final. And I think we take for granted sometimes the benefit of getting race experience in a final. Sometimes you come to a meet, and when you are younger and you're new to a trials environment, you're just swimming a preliminary and you have to go through the motions. But when they get a chance to swim these finals, that's how they're going to evolve in their career.
Well, and I think you're right. You're very right, Brittany. And the opportunity, we've got an A final. It's mixed. It's all ages, including juniors, a standalone junior final, and the best of the rest, as you mentioned, B final. So 3 more chances to swim. And this junior final into the program, something relatively new that's been brought into the program here, but a great opportunity for the kids all in that same age bracket for whatever junior meet that happens to be being selected for later on the summer to go up and compete against each other, because as you mentioned before, that's the future of the event in a couple of years as those kids age up and develop into senior athletes. So we should be having the medal ceremony coming up fairly soon for the 200-meter breaststroke for the men.
And as you can see now, they're getting set for the backstroke events. So those are the backstroke wedges is what they're called. So it started, I don't know what, maybe 10 years ago to be able to have a backstroke wedge.
Yeah.
Allows you to get a much stronger start in the backstroke.
Yeah, one of the rare sort of developments for backstroke swimming that have happened over the last 100 or so odd years. You can remember slipping off those touch pads on more than one occasion as a young swimmer trying to do a backstroke start.
I guess it's been more than 10 years because I also have to remember I'm almost 10 years retired. So I definitely swim with a backstroke wedge. So let's give it at probably 13 to 14.
I think it was around about 2012, give or take.
Yeah,
came out.
I agree. We'll have that by tomorrow. Can we talk about the other medalists in this one, though? Because I know we spent a lot of time post-race talking about Oliver Dawson, but a personal best there for Apollo Hess, I believe 2:14.26.
Yeah, he was right down there at it, like his best time coming into this. Let's just take a look. Let's go to the stats, and let's see, Apollo Hess. He's been, I think his best was 2:14.46 that he did earlier this year. So that's, best time by a couple tenths of a second. He was part of Canada's team last year.
Yeah, and Justice Mignot to go at 2:13, that's a phenomenal. Both of those men also taking opportunities to swim under the high performance centers built here in Canada. So Apollo Hess trains in High Performance Center Ontario, and Justice Mignot High Performance Center Vancouver. Both of them creating very strong programs, which results in very strong swimmers. So really awesome to see them do well here. And those two are going to try to continue to crack, hopefully through to the 100 breaststroke as well, where they get a chance to maybe name themselves to a team. One other thing I did want to note is that we have technically 4 selections happening at this meet, okay? So we're going to talk mostly about the World Aquatics Championships. Those are happening at the end of July in Singapore. Then there's the World Para Swimming Championships. Those are happening in September at the same pool in Singapore. Then the World Juniors, which we've already discussed, are happening in Romania at the end of August. But then also this year are the FISU Games, which are the Summer University Games. This is also one of 5 qualification events for those, but those happen in the middle of July in Germany. So there are other meets. This isn't the only meet where you can qualify for the University Games, but it is definitely one of the factors. So there's potential to have many athletes named to the team this summer. So just wanted to kind of go over that so you're aware of some of the terminology if we do speak of the FISU Games. those are something that only university-eligible athletes are able to compete at. I think you can be 1 year before it and 1 year post it.
I think you're right, Brittany.
Yeah.
And one of the selection events was the U Sports, or the Canadian University Sports Championship event, which is part of that qualification, one of the qualification events for the World Student Games. So a great opportunity for those student athletes competing, training at the same time to be able to compete internationally for Canada.
One of my favorite memories, honestly, competing for Canada was at the University Games. It's such a fun atmosphere. There's so many people. Everyone's around the same age, so it's a great chance to meet people, get to know some competitors, get to know new friends. It's also just that you have a full games environment, so you're going through, talk about Olympic experience, but it's a multi-sport game. So you're going through, a dining hall, living in under the residence, you're walking to your bus every day. It's a really great way for athletes to develop, and it's really good experience, but it's also really good for the team atmosphere. The athletes are all dialed in. Often you see them, I remember putting face paint on in Pride for Team Canada one day, and it was really special.
Please welcome to Bullet now the championship final in the women's 100 backstroke. Swimming in the 8 representing Olympian swimming, Caitlin Schroeder. Aging 7, Greater Harlem Fish, Ashley McMillan. In 6, representing Bronca Acre Aquatics, Madison Krieger. In 5, Pomona Aquatics, Taylor Ruck. In 4, the Toronto Swim Club, Kylie Moss. In the Cascade Swim Club, Ingrid Wills. In 2, the Toronto Swim Club, Gillian Lloyd. In 1, from Island Swimming, Bridget Burton.
And there are our finalists in the women's 100 backstroke. All eyes on lane 4, the previous world record holder in this event, the current Canadian record holder in this event, Kylie Moss. She comes in with a time of 57.70 as her lifetime best. Now, Ruck is always kind of somebody we have to continue in this conversation. I would say she's looking strong, but I think that's, not even doing justice to where everyone's at in this conversation. We have Ingrid Wilm, who's been really building, went to the Olympics last year in this event. She'll have lane number 3. It's kind of one of those events, though, we might see a handful of athletes under that Aqua A standard, 100.46. So for this, we're less worried about the time. We're actually looking more for who's going to come first and second.
Well, you're absolutely right, Brittany. And let's look at this start and see where they're at on the underwater. Moss is an expert at this. She is up there. Ingrid Wilm looking very good in lane number 3. We'll see what these girls are out in. As you mentioned, the standard's only 004, so we could have 3 or even 4 of these swimmers go underneath that World Aquatic qualifying time.
And both Taylor Ruck and Ingrid Wilm have been under 59 before, so this is a really strong event for Canada and something that we're going to continue to see be a strong event. 28.03 for Kylie out on the first 50.
And 28.70 for Wilm as well. That is a good sign. She came home under 30 seconds in 100 backstroke just a couple weeks ago at the Mare Nostrum Tour. That was the first time she's been able to do that in her career, so she could be setting herself up very well. But look at Kylie Moss in 4, and look at Ruck really moving nicely in lane number 5. And it's coming down to the touch, and it's going to be Moss in 4 at 58.18. Second is Taylor Ruck. She hasn't gone that fast in a number of years. A great swim by her. Ingrid Wilm underneath the standard in for third at 59.26.
That is a really encouraging swim there for Taylor Ruck. That is an athlete, we've seen her since probably 2015, a decade of Taylor Ruck conversations, similar to where Kylie really made her move. But backstroke has always been a hit or miss event for Taylor Ruck. For her to go 58.93 here, she's absolutely putting ourselves in a position to get to swim this event at a final, a semifinal, at a World Championships. Now she's officially named herself to the team. 2 women, our top 2, I was going to say, we have more than 2 women under the Aqua A standard, but our top 2 now are going to get a chance to know they're on the World Championship roster and go forth with the confidence of being able to say, I did this on day 1 and I've got a whole bunch more racing. Taylor Ruck, a freestyle specialist typically, also has dabbled in backstroke throughout her career, but we're going to see her throughout the sprint freestyles as well.
Well, it's such a very tough event for the women in the 100-meter backstroke, and Ruck and Wilm have traded off on that 2nd and 3rd position back and forth over the last couple of years. In 21, at the Olympic trials, it was Ruck who got the better of Wilm. Last time around, in 24, Wilm getting the better of Ruck, and this time around, great swim by Taylor Ruck at 58.93 for second.
So encouraging there, and great to see. I mean, Kylie's our champion. And I always say our champion because she truly is Canada's champion. One of the best, here she is.
Great swim here tonight. On the team selected in the 100 back. That's out of the way on day 1. That must feel pretty relaxing after your first swim.
Yeah, it feels great to get in, like you said, and be able to get myself on the team in the first day. Hopefully the rest of the week I can just enjoy it.
Under Canadian record pace at the first 50, a 58.18, 3rd fastest time in the world this year, with just about a month to go to Singapore. Must feel pretty good to have that time behind you right now as well.
Yeah, it feels really good. It's been a different year for me, and I just feel really grateful to be here and to be competing still, and to be able to put up a time that was faster than I did at the Olympics is really special and something I'm proud of.
So between now and Singapore, what will you do to try and retone or rekey in on this 100 backstroke specifically?
I think just continue to put in the work and really focus on the skills, because I feel like on the international stage that's kind of where I fall behind. So really put in the work there on the details.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kylie Moss, your winner here tonight in the 100 backstroke and selected for the World Champs in Singapore.
I know I spoke about her being, Canada's champion, but she was the first female on the swimming side to ever consecutively win medals across 3 Olympic Games. Of course, it came in Rio almost like a surprise. By Tokyo, she was one of the favorites. And then Paris, what a beautiful story in the 200 backstroke after, like she said, having, not as strong of a 100, and then coming in here and having such a phenomenal last 50. It was one of my highlights of the Paris games to see her get on the podium, that 200 backstroke. So something really, really, I guess, poignant about Kylie's career is you can never count her out. You never can rule her out of anything. And this year she's decided to focus not on the 200 anymore, so she'll be here swimming the 50 and the 100. But I think this is by no means the end of Kylie Moss's career. I think she's still building and still finding new ways to improve, and it's really inspiring.
Well, not one of Canada's most consistent females since 2015. She was on the Pan Am team back in 2015, and every year after that, she's been getting better and better, always on the international podium. Here we go now. This is our next race. This is our junior final, the junior qualifying standard for the event this summer, 102.53. We have a couple of junior age athletes in our final, and we've got a few more here. Our top qualifier in lane number 4 is Leah Teeger from the Toronto Swim Club. She was 102.43 this morning. That is underneath the standard that she needs to go to be considered for that World Junior team.
And Madison Krieger in the A final, only 16 years of age, from Brock Niagara. She posted a time of 1:00.6, so that consideration standard is right there for her too. A lot of this is going to be the math that we have to math as the days goes on. So if you're not clear exactly on how it goes, don't worry. We will keep you in the loop as we have more clarity on how the teams are developing. But a lot of it really is about quota spots and how many we have named to that Worlds team, and then from there we'll be able to name that junior team.
It does start to get a bit complicated, but Tigert in lane number 4 under the standard this morning, and she's out a little bit faster on that first 50, 30.16 compared to 30.3. So we'll see if she can improve on that 102.43 that she did this morning. And she does a nice drop down to 101.65 to win her junior final. Sienna Rogers touches second, 102.67. Swims for the University of Calgary Swim Club. And then Lucy Weeds from the Okotoks Mavericks. That's the old hometown of Finley Knox. She touches the wall third in a time of 103.08.
Commanding win there in the middle of the pool for Leah Tigert, 101.65 from Toronto Swim Club. We're getting set now for the B final of the women's 100 backstroke.
Some good swimming again in the A final from the juniors, as well as in this junior final, a few of them underneath that standard. See how that total team composition shakes down through 6 days of racing. A number of these swimmers will have qualified in multiple events. Brittany, something that you alluded to earlier, looking to see swimmers with a more of a diverse range of events that they can swim at the international level, whether that be junior or whether that be senior. Here we go now, third heat of the women's 100-meter backstroke. This is our B final. We go on this one, our top qualifier swimming in lane number 4, Jordan Grieber from the University of Calgary Swim Club, 103.44 this morning. Great start out of lane number 2. Underwater, Rebecca McGrath from Point Claire. She was a 104.47, had the fastest start. Number 3 looking good as well. That's Elena Montrachard from Brantford, 104.20 this morning.
And this race has a little less strategy because it really is just about trying to get out there with some good speed and then coming home strong. So you don't see the pool and the lead change too much, but there are definitely athletes that know how to close this last 25 because backstroke is really taxing on the legs. It is very kick focused and very kick heavy. So if you build that lactic acid a little too early, you feel like an absolute rock in the water.
Well, lane 3 doing a good job holding off that build-up herself. That's Elena Montrachard taking over the lead through the first 50 meters. 104.20 is what she did this morning. Looks like Montrachard at the top of your screen in lane number 3 is going to hold on. She wins the B final at a time of 102.49. Good swim and a good drop from Montrachard. 2 seconds from this morning. Solid swimming as we finish off the women's 100-meter backstroke.
And there are the final results. As you mentioned, 102.49, a really solid swim there from Montrachard representing Brantford. Take the B final. We get set for the men's. But first, we're going to see some medals, which can we talk about for a second? I know we've spent a lot of time on this Taylor Ruck 58, but I'm also thinking about the conversation behind the relays in Canada, and one of the gaps has been, will this women's team be back with depth in the 4x100 free, 4x200 free, those type things. But seeing Taylor Ruck go a 58 in the 100 back really makes me think that we're going to have a poised ruck for the freestyle relays again. We potentially, with we saw Penny in season drop down to 54 last month. So I think I'm not only excited about where she's at in backstroke, but I'm also excited about the potential for where this relay could be at.
Well, and the nice thing about Ruck is she hasn't been this fast in the backstroke in 6 years. You got to go back to 2019 to see a 58 out of her, so that is a very encouraging sign so early on in this meet. And as you said, she's known more for her freestyle events.
Mm-hmm. And you talk about 6 years as if, like, we say that and it's not, a huge chunk of time in somebody's life, but
That's
as a
an eternity
swimmer,
for a swimmer.
that is an eternity to not go a best time in an event and you continue to persevere. I said that to Mary Sophie Harvey about the 400 IM, and that used to be when she was a 15, 16-year-old. That was her bread and butter event, and then she kind of had to take a step back in order to come to fruition where she knew she was able to be. But, oh man, that is a lifetime. Here we are getting set to watch these medalists, of course. Ingrid Wilm, she is always the brightest smile on the pool deck, but this is maybe the one moment you don't see her shining with as much jubilee as we're used to, because unfortunately coming third means that she cannot qualify for this event at the World Championships. Now, does she have other chances? Absolutely. She's going to be in the 200 backstroke. She's also going to be in the 50 backstroke. So it's by no means over for Ingrid, but this is the event that used to be kind of her most confident event.
Yeah, I think so, but I mean, she's been on the podium internationally in the 50 a number of times, including the World Championship, so there is an opportunity there. That's the event still to come up, and you know, that's still 0.4 of a second faster than she's been all year long. She came off a great European, event at the Marinosham at 59.6, so this is a really good showing for her. Obviously not what she wanted. I'm sure she wanted, of course she wanted to be in the top 2 and a little bit faster, but it just wasn't her day today. It was Taylor Rooks though at 58.97.
And it was another great day for Kylie Moss, truly a champion of the 100 backstroke, especially in this country. She's been in the mix in this event internationally for almost an entire decade. Phenomenally consistent athlete, and just went a time that was faster than she went in the Olympic Games final. So I think as Canadian swim fans, we can be pretty excited about where the future is of the 100 backstroke, and specifically that the veterans are here and they are performing and they are saying, so what, it's a post-Olympic year. We want to keep our names in the mix. And going into this event, I said, you know what, it's a fun event for getting to know new names, but it's also a bit of a gut check for the veterans of, okay, where are they at? Have they been training this year? Did they take 6 months off? And this to me proves that although some of them did definitely take a bit of a break for their mental health, there is a really strong showing here for our vets, and this really tells me that they are back with a vengeance and saying, I know it's a post-Olympic year, but I don't have as much pressure on me this year and I could come in and race, and they're doing just that.
Well, and I think you talk about the post-Olympic year and what went on. If we turn our mind back to 2022 and everything that we saw here at the trials, and it was in Victoria and kicked off for the summer, how exciting of a summer that was. We saw, Summer McIntosh really coming into her own. We saw Josh Niendo getting down there, starting to break records and push himself up internationally. So seeing the same thing again here in 2025. A few different names, and as you mentioned, a mix of veterans and a mix of young up-and-comers. These are the medalists for our junior age swimmers.
Speaking of people to get excited about, I'm pretty excited about the potential of this one. Madison Krieger finished 4th in the A final, just behind those 3 women we saw on the podium. But I think this is a name that we're going to watch a lot. She's actually not at this podium. She has a double tonight, so she's also in the 400 freestyle, so likely warming down for her 400 free. Something I'm going to talk about it more for the 200 backstroke, but she is going to be such a star for the future of Canada.
Pour devenir le meilleur dans ce que l'on fait, cela commence souvent tôt le matin. On veut s'y mettre, s'y investir, tout donner pour réussir. Et après toutes ces longueurs et tous ces efforts, c'est bon de réaliser qu'on le fait pour le Canada et les Canadiens. Les producteurs de poulets du Canada, fiers grands partenaires nationaux de Natation Canada.
And there we have it. This is the flags getting set. You saw that. This is going to be the men's 100-meter backstroke coming up. And here are your 8 finalists. 100 backstroke.
Lots of high performance centers represented here. The story comes in lane number 4, Blake Tierney, the favorite in this event. He's an Olympic semi-finalist. We also have another Olympian in the mix, Cole Pratt, back and happy and healthy. He was a Tokyo 2020 Olympian. He's now representing HPC Vancouver. Blake Norman as well. He's out in lane number 6, Aiden Norman. I'm now in Blake Tierney. Aiden Norman out in lane number 6. He swept the backstroke events of the 2024 Junior Pan Packs. He has been down at a 53.71, but it's been some time since he's been there. Of course, like every race, we keep an eye on the Aqua A standard. That time is a 53.94. Blake looked very strong this morning just off that cut. He'll have lane number 4, the favorite for this race. But let's see if we can maybe get 2 Canadian men under that time. It's happened before.
Oh, here we go, the men's 100-meter backstroke. 3 of these men have been underneath that standard before, so we'll see what we get to. Cole Pratt off to a solid start in lane number 3. Turney was the fastest by 7/10 of a second this morning. He just missed the Canadian record last year at the Olympic trials, time of 53.48.
Cole Pratt riding the water so well right now, off to a very strong start in this first 50.
25.7, that's one of the fastest first 50s Pratt has ever done. Turney at 26.3, looking good as well. Great underwater by Pratt in lane number 3. He's been off the national, international scene for the last few years dealing with injury, but right now he's got the lead on this one. Turney making his move in lane number 4 as they come to the finish. It is Pratt in 3, Turney in 4 as they come to the wall. It is Cole Pratt, a time of 54.27 by 1/100th of a second over Blake Turney. 54.28 in lane 4. Parker DeHage in 3rd. Solid swim by him and a time of 55.23.
1/100th of a second between training partners. I'm just watching more of their reaction right now, and I'm also always amazed at you, Jason. This is your son. You never let it get to you, but how does it feel that he just potentially put his name on the roster for World Championships after everything he's been through?
Well, I would be very excited speaking. I am very excited speaking as his dad for this one. Absolutely. I know it's been a long haul for him since the Tokyo Games, dealing with the injury that he has. So it's great to see him come back and be able to compete. Nice to get his hand on the wall. You talk about training partners. These two have been going back and forth. 100th of a second is all I believe that separated them from the Mills Zajac meet. It was in the 200 backstroke at that time. So it's great to see, you know, these competitors at this level going back and forth, both in training and here at the meets.
And I think, you know, we watch Blake Tierney and we now speak about him as if it's almost like an assumed thing he's going to make the team, but he was noticeably faster in the prelim this morning. When we look at 100, where 0.3 of a second is a lifetime of time, I wonder, it almost looked like off the start he may have slipped slightly, or he just wasn't in the mix from the beginning, and Cole absolutely made the most of that first 50. Oh my goodness, I was terrified in that final 5 meters. We talked earlier about the lactic acid buildup. That is what he was feeling on the final 5 meters. But Cole Pratt, your national champion, now potentially going to put his name on the roster for that relay. And here he is speaking to Chris Heimer-Kwasi.
Cole Pratt winning the 100 back here tonight by 1/100th of a second. Did you know how close it was coming down to the final touch?
Oh man, I did. I thought he was ahead of me, but guess I just had him.
So you're ahead of the 50, and he was closing fast on that final 50. You guys train together every day. Does that really help you get ready for these events when you have a training partner like Blake?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Like when I came in to the center back in September, I was amazed every day by what Blake was doing, and it's hard not to improve when you have someone like Blake training with you day in and day out.
So obviously, Cole, you must be pretty excited under that selection standard, the secondary selection standard, but selected for the World Championships this summer, and will represent Team Canada in Singapore. Got to be pretty excited about that here on day 1.
Yeah, of course. Now I can just have fun the rest of the meet.
Just fun the rest of the meet, and then get ready for World Champs in Singapore.
Yeah, exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Cole Pratt, winner of the 100 backstroke here tonight, and newest member of Team Canada for the
Very exciting finish to that 100-meter backstroke race, 1/100th of a second. It literally doesn't get any closer than that, Brittany.
pretty cool. You can see, I know he didn't have a ton to say, but you can tell this moment means a lot to him to get himself back on the national team, to have a swim like that where, you know, the last couple of years he's really battled through. But to see him get back is always really motivating. And as an athlete, you know, you've been there, you've done that, but when you get back there, there's nothing quite like that feeling.
Well, very exciting swim for Cole Pratt in that 100-meter backstroke. We did see underneath that junior standard, Parker DeHaze, he had a great swim this morning in the prelims when he was down to 54.85 as a lifetime best by more than a full second. And now we've got a whole bunch more juniors here swimming in our junior final. The standard for them is a 55.94. They consider for that World Junior Championship team. Go clean start here. We'll watch the middle of the pool at top. See Jacques Harrison from Crest Swimming. He was at 57.39 this morning. He's up and looking very strong for that first 25 meters. Beside him in lane number 5, Rain Walker from Etobicoke, 57.71. Harrison doing a good job of this one, carrying that lead through the first 50 meters. Goes around quickly, 27.37. He's about a half second up on Shinkleshock. Down in lane number 3.
And Harrison with a really strong turn there. Jax is out in front. Strong lead, almost a body length on the field now, and you can see the wake of their legs at this point. It's really about just a really, really fast tempo, but also you don't want to rush your stroke. You're staying relaxed and controlled, but trying to get through the wall as fast as you can.
And Jacques Harrison coming in. He's going to win this junior final, 56.56. That's almost a full second drop from where he was this morning. Gavin Shinkleshock turns in second, 57.52, and then third goes to Rain Walker, 57.70. We already had 2 juniors, as we mentioned, in that A final, so we'll see where these guys line up, with Harrison being top time, that time at 56.56.
Well, it is good to note, too, when we do our podiums for the junior final, it is not just the top 3 in this heat, it is factoring in everybody from the A and the junior, so that's also a clear indication of the people that are in the mix for that junior world championship team.
Absolutely, and so see how that ends up as we get ready for our final in the men's 100-meter backstroke. This is going to be the best of the rest. It will be our B final. Lane number 4 top in this final. That's Kanik Bracho from UBC Thunderbirds, 56.85 this morning. Off to a good start, as is lane number 5. That's Kai Lindenthal, also a swimmer from UBC. And then our third UBC swimmer is actually leading in the top of your screen, lane number 1. That's Alexander Lachevich. He's only 58.47, but out with the leaders as they come to the first 50. It's like 5 and 6, 2 Thunderbirds, Bracho and Lindenthal. Bracho turning in 27.23, just 4/100ths of a second over his teammate and training partner beside him in lane 5.
And that really is a good example of a strong start can make all the difference. Lilienthal was out like a rocket off the blocks, but then really strong underwater, and he continues to persevere here. Going into the final 10 meters, he's still the leader.
And there we go at the finish. It is Lilienthal holding on. Looks like he's going to take that B final. Oh, just barely though at the touch. 56.84 by 9/100ths of a second. He's ahead of Jacques William in lane number 3, and then Ian Cameron.
results now official. We're going to get set for the podiums for the 100-meter backstroke on the men's side. We'll see the A final first, and then we're going to have a chance to see the junior finalists for the top 3 in the junior final.
Slight technical delay before we get underway with these medal presentations. It's going to be in the men's 100-meter backstroke. So here we go. So Brittany, this is another case of not under that A standard, but underneath the B consideration standard, but also putting in potential position for that relay, with Pratt winning a time at 54.27, just a 100th of a second ahead of his teammate and training partner Tierney, 54.28.
Yeah, and this is one of those events, you know, the reason why we had a bit of a different reaction for this by saying, you know, he's likely going to World Championships, even though he wasn't under standard, is that they are very likely to field a team for the World Championships in that medley relay. So being the winner of the race doesn't quite matter what his result was. He's now going to be the first consideration for that spot on the relay.
There's Parker DeHaze, the youngster. Great performance from him. It was a big best time this morning down at 54.85. Blake Tierney, he's Canadian record holder of the men's 200-meter backstroke. That one's coming up later in the program.
Yeah, similar to Ingrid, he'll be upset by this, but he definitely is not. This isn't the last we're going to see of him. So more racing to come, more of his strength now in the 200, I think is really exciting, and he also has a chance to do the 50. We'll see if he has some natural speed there, but tonight it was Cole Pratt's night, and 2 men that I'm sure he respects and values in his career as well. Training partner Blake Tierney and a youngster. Okay, we got to find that out soon. We'll report back when we find out if the flames are a meat thing or if they're, you know.
Well, I think it's also a growing experience for a youngster, whether it is bleach that you would use as detergent in laundry or bleach that you would use for your hair. A question we'll answer later.
These are the questions. I call it Brit's brain, where I have something I'm curious about, and I hope at least someone at home is curious about it too.
There you go. What do you think, Rover? Come on, Rover. Come on. Rover, I said go. Go now, Rover. Silly dog.
Red Bull gives you wings.
The new Red Bull Zero is here. New can, new flavor. Zero sugar, 100% wings.
Medal presentations now for our junior swimmers. We're going to see DeHaze back on the podium. Figure this one all out. DeHaze, as we mentioned, really putting himself in a great spot to get on that World Juniors team. He still has other events to come up, including one of his best events, the 200-meter backstroke. Jacques Harrison from Express Swimming winning the bronze medal. And Parker DeHaze Cascade, your junior age champion.
So the hair conversation could continue, is what you're telling me. Jason, I feel like you have something to add to the story.
Well, I think it's very important for all you youngsters out there to know the difference between bleach that you might use in your laundry and bleach that you might use in your hair. If you don't know the answer, Shin,
probably don't buy it.
Don't buy it. Maybe ask your mom, your dad, probably your mom first.
And we are gearing up for the first of our para events tonight. We'll listen for the intros.
Please welcome swimming lane 4 from Whitby Swimming, Ali Van Winsmart.
Ali Van Wiksmart, the only competitor in this event. Depending on your classification is how they decide whether you're in the 50 or the 100. This is for SB2 and SB3. Ali is an SB2. She'll be competing today. She's a Tokyo and Paris Paralympian. Comes in with a personal best time of 1:40.42. So that's definitely what we're going to be watching out for on the clock. As we're beginning these para events, I always like to provide some context. All of the classifications on the para side, S1 through 10 are physical impairments. The lower is the more severe of impairments. S11 through 13 are all visual impairments, and then S14 are intellectual impairments. So tonight, like I said, the para events we're going to see are the 50 breast and the 100 breaststroke. Ali's going to get us started here in just a moment.
Off we go on this one, and Ali Van Wiksmart, as you mentioned, she is swimming this as a 50-meter breaststroke. She was 1:46.68 earlier today, and it is the World Para Swimming Championships, one of the events that you mentioned early on where we have, it's one of the 4 events that we're selecting for, but this is one that we're not going to have an immediate answer for at the end of the meet.
There are a few athletes that are actually working towards getting their classification, and I think this is the conversation we're going to continue to have because it is a complicated process. Some athletes that are born with their disability do not have to get classified as regularly, or if potentially their body isn't going to grow any differently. But other athletes have to get reclassified every year or every 2 years. And now the only event that you can get classified in is at the World Para Series. So this has made it a little bit, although consistent across the board, everyone in the world is going through this same process, but it does make it a little bit more challenging because you can only go to these specific events for classification. And unfortunately, with certain disabilities, it is often inconsistent on which day you're feeling necessarily strong compared to some of the other days. And so if your result is inconsistent, unfortunately, not every athlete is able to get a classification. And so we've had Shelby Newkirk, one of the Paralympic medalists from last summer, unfortunately not able to be here this week because she is having to get classified in an event in Mexico right now. So they're going to leave a little bit of room for the potential for some additions to the team after it's named on Thursday night. Right now, let's get back to Ali. She's coming into the final 5 meters.
Well, and you've got a personal best down at 1:40. She was 1:46 this morning. It looks like she's going to be a bit better than that. She's just got a couple meters left to go. Ali Van Wiksmart, Whitby Swimming, into the wall, 1:47.31. Solid swim after that 1:46 this morning.
And if you're looking at the number beside each athlete's name, that is what's called their para points. So they combine their classification with their time. And the cool thing about technology now is that time will be cranking down throughout. So if you keep an eye as they're swimming, you get to watch those points evolve as the athlete's racing. But something that really helps when you have a heat, especially the next one coming up where we have athletes from different classifications, so you can keep an eye once they've touched the wall on who's actually finished ahead of one another, because of course their time isn't the only factor that goes into their final placing.
Right, and as you mentioned, most of the pair events, other than a few exceptions like this, they are multi-class events, so you'll be seeing swimmers from all sorts of categories, so very helpful to have that rundown of that points, which starts around about 1,000 and then it works its way down as you come towards the finish on the wall. And as you saw, Ali Van Wyck Smart, 532 world para points from that last swim. The swimmers, though, Brittany, are seeded like any other race. They are seeded by time, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to see your most likely winner in the middle of the pool in lanes 4 and 5.
Absolutely. We've seen world records broken out in lane number 6, lane number 7. So it's definitely very possible. We're just going to always have to keep an eye on that para points number and, of course, their classification to make sure we're aware. Those results are now final. We're going to hear from Ali Van Wyck Smart.
Just off the time you went in this morning, just a little bit off. But is it been pretty good on your day 1 here in Victoria?
Yeah, it's been exciting. I just don't think I was quite where I want to be, but that's okay. It's the first day.
How many more events are we going to see you competing in this week?
5.
5 more events over the course of the next few days for Ali Van Wyck Smart. So a 2-time Paralympian. You represented Canada last summer in Paris. What have you done since then to get ready for this event here in Victoria?
Kept my head down and just kept swimming every day, and that's about it.
Put the work in, put your head down. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. Ali Van Wyck Smart in the 50 breaststroke here tonight. Congratulations.
Wow, and as you mentioned about swimming a diverse program, 5 more events for her. That's a pretty full program for Ali Van Wyck Smart. First event of the weekend for her. Breaststroke. Now getting ready for that multi-class 100-meter breaststroke race for the women. Your athletes.
In lane 7 from Royal City Aquatics, Ruby Stevens. In lane 6 from Crocodile Aquatics, Emma Van Dyck. In lane 5 from Victoria, Sophie Wood. In 4th and result, swimming shorts, Ali Field. In lane 3, Rosan Aquatic Club, Megan Calhoun.
Lanes 2 through 7 are filled with athletes getting set here. We have SB9 category. We also have athletes in the SB14. Emma Van Dyck is one of them. She was a Paris Paralympian. The Canada A standard in all of our para events is something we're going to have to keep an eye on, but it is tight. So that is the time that placed 5th at the Paralympics last summer. That is the time that is kind of the equivalent of our Aqua A standard, so it basically guarantees them a spot on the team. For SB9, that time is 1:18:39, so pretty far off where we're at right now, but you never know. And then for SB14, it's a 1:19:26. SB14 will be represented out in lane number 6 there. Like I said, the Paralympian, Emma Van Dyck. Also, she's the only SB14. I did want to note very quickly too, when I mentioned the classification, SB is basically the classification for breaststroke. S is for backstroke and freestyle and butterfly, and then SM, which is the medley, so the IM. And the reason why it's different is depending, like I said, on the impairment, you could have very different mobility for one stroke versus another, so specific strokes are classified accordingly. And for this one, you have a classification based on SB, and so that's where the athletes are coming from.
So Ali Deal in lane number 4, from Prince Albert. She was the closest to that A standard this morning. Swam 1:24:22. She's out 38:70 in that first 50 meters. Sophie Wood also competing in the SB9 category. She turns next, 41:45. Megan Calhoun is 3rd. As we turn on to the back half of the race, so a bit of a drop that we're going to need to see from Deal to get down to that qualifying standard.
But something too, we will keep an eye on that para points. And important to note that lanes 3, 4, and 5 all SB9, so they are racing the clock against each other right now.
And here we go towards the finish. A little bit less than 15 meters to go in the middle of the pool for your race leader. 1:24:22 this morning. And it's going to be Ali Deal from Prince Albert in lane number 4. She's going to be first to the wall. Time of 124.44. Right about where she was this morning, scoring 850 points. Next to the wall is Sophie Wood, followed by Emma Van Dyke.
Yeah, and you could see her shaking her head a little bit. She doesn't look too happy with that performance. Often when you see an athlete go right on or a little bit slower than what they were in the morning, they come in with a little bit more expectation and they leave a little bit disappointed. But she'll get the win here. The most pair of points in the women's 100 breaststroke. Allie Deal, SB9. We do have one more competitor continuing. Two more. Apologies, I spoke too soon.
Yeah, we've got Jessica Tinney. She swims the SB4 category from Ajax. She's in lane number 2. Ruby Stevens, SB5, swimming in lane number 7. This morning they were 240.0 for Tinney, 249.7 for Stevens. Coming to the finish of their race with less than 25 meters to go. Looks like in the top of your screen, lane number 2, Jessica Tinney. She'll be into the wall next. Again, 240.07 this morning. Be pretty close to that. And there we go for Tinney, time 241.85. Here comes at the bottom of your screen, Ruby Stevens. Her time this morning was 249.73. And Stevens to the wall next, a time of 257.74.
And the points are calculated, so we still do have the same top 3 finishers as we initially spoke about. Allie Deal will take the win in the women's multi-class 100 breaststroke.
There we go. Our first men's event for the paraswimming now. It's going to be the 100-meter breaststroke.
Which is going to be great because we get to see the Paralympic champion in it. But first we're going to hear from Allie Deal on how she thinks about that race.
The top time there in the 100 breaststroke, 124.44. Allie Deal, congratulations on another great swim. Just off what you went this morning. We got to be pretty happy with that time here tonight.
Yeah, I am. I was definitely looking for a better time, but that was pretty good.
So it's under the MQS standard for consideration of selection this summer. What would it mean to you to be named to the Canadian team to represent in Singapore this summer?
It would definitely be an amazing experience, and I'd be so thankful, but everything happens for a reason.
Well, we're going to see what happens. What else are we going to see you competing in over the next few days here in Victoria?
100 free, back, 200 IM, and 50 free.
Multiple events coming up. Allie Deal, ladies and gentlemen, our winner here tonight in the 100 breaststroke. Congratulations, Allie, and good luck for the rest of your time here in Victoria.
Now we'll get set for the men's multi-class 100 breaststroke, the final para race of the night. And the final race before we see Miss Summer McIntosh enter the pool.
Here we go, your finalists. Brittany, 100-meter breaststroke for the men.
I'm pretty pumped up about this one. So we have, of course, I mentioned it, I teased it. We have the SB14 Paralympic champion, Nicholas Bennett. His personal best time and national record time is a 103.71. I also am pretty pumped up about Fernando Liu, a huge personal best this morning in the prelim by 2 full seconds. He swam the 50 free at the Paris Paralympics, but this breaststroke is definitely something he's developing and working a lot on. He'll have a kind of race against the clock and lane number 3, James LaRue. James is a Paralympian as well in the breaststroke SB category. So this is something that he unfortunately didn't qualify for the Paris team, but he has gone to Rio and Tokyo. So we'll see if he's still in form. Eyes on 3, 4, and 5.
And so we mentioned those A standards that are out there. And so we've got SB14, SB9 challenging those times. Where are we sitting relative to those cuts?
For this one, the Canada A standard, like I mentioned, it's based on the 5th place finish at the Paralympics. Well, Nick has the advantage of being the 1st place finisher at the Paralympics, so the time for him is definitely within range. It's a 105.75. SB9, that standard is a 109.55, so definitely within range. If Fernando Liu can cut another about 1 second off his time, he's definitely there.
And look at this. Both of these swimmers, Bennett in lane number 4, 30.04, and Liu in lane number 5, 33.08. That is out faster than they were this morning. It was 105.2 for Bennett, and it was a 110.6 for Fernando Liu in lane 5.
James LaRue staying in the mix here, though, ahead of Liu at the moment. But it is all the Paralympic champ, Nick Bennett. What a beautiful breaststroke. You can see how high he rides the water, the momentum he brings into each stroke, and he'll be the winner here tonight.
And coached by his sister, Haley Bennett Osborne, and he is in first, time of 105.13. Second is going to go to lane number 5. It is Fernando Liu, 110.84, followed by James LaRue in lane 3, time of 112.21.
Fernando Liu with a really, really strong final 25 there to get himself in at second place. A really strong pair of points as well, 9:39 in terms of pair of points. Nicholas Bennett, 9:75, and James LaRue as well. Solid swim there, 9:13 pair of points. So our top 3 finishers there will be as followed: Nicholas Bennett, then Fernando Liu to James LaRue. We have one more athlete still competing, so we'll have to keep an eye on the pair of points. Already it's dropped below that standard, which is why I announced our top 3. But Riley Martin out in lane number 8. Hopefully the crowd gets behind him.
Riley Martin at SB4 here in the breaststroke. He was a time of 209.38 this morning in the prelims.
That time for Nick Bennett gets him under that standard, so very likely, if not confirmed tonight, that he will be going to the Para Worlds coming up in Singapore in September.
There we go, our last competitor underneath what he did this morning, Riley. Have award ceremonies for these last 3 breaststroke events before we get underway with our 400-meter freestyle event, which, as you mentioned,
looks like we'll get to hear from Nick Bennett and how he thinks about this victory and naming to the Para World Championship team.
We're standing down on deck now with Nicholas Bennett, winner of the 100 breaststroke multi-classification final. Nick, congratulations. I know you're back racing on the island here. You grew up just north of here in Qualicum. What's it like to be racing back here in Victoria?
Well, this is basically my home pool, so it's just amazing just to be here racing at this level.
So a pretty good time here tonight, a little bit off your Canadian record, but last summer you were named as the co-flag bearer for the closing ceremonies for Team Canada at the Paralympics. What an incredible honor. You took some time off after the games, you come back, you're getting back into swimming. What have you been doing to get back and ready for this race here tonight?
Well, we're just changing up how I swim. Just a little bit of technique that we're decided that it needs some working. So we're definitely non-target but compared to last year, but it's okay.
And we've heard that there's so many athletes swimming multiple events this week in Victoria. Are we going to see you in a whole bunch of more events coming up?
I'm doing my full schedule load, so.
So only about 48 events or something over the next few days?
Thankfully, only 5.
Only 5 more events. Nicholas Bennett, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations. Your first event done and dusted. Congratulations on the win here tonight in the 100 breaststroke.
Big range of events for Bennett as well this week. That was number 1.
And we are getting set soon for the women's freestyle, but first we will have our podiums for the 3 para races that we watched tonight. Starting with Ali Van Wixmart, the champion and the sole competitor in the women's 50 breast SB2. there she is, rocking the headphones.
You
I
have
hope
to.
she's listening to some good music.
And Allie Van Wyck-Smark, our champion in the women's 50-meter breaststroke. She's in the SB2 category.
Representing Whitby Swim Club. She was Swimming Canada's breakout para swimmer of the year back in 2019. And that year, she actually broke the SM2 world record in the 150 medley. It's definitely one of those names we've been chatting about for a while, been on the national team. Two-time Paralympian, and now your winner here tonight in the women's SB2 50 breaststroke.
And next up, it will be the women's 100-meter breaststroke multi-class event.
Emma Van Dyck, Paralympian, will have the bronze medal here. 1:33.50 her time, earns her 7:06 para points.
And one of our local swimmers from UVic, Pacific Coast Swimming, Sophie Wood, for that silver medal. So swim by her down to 1:29. A second and a half better than she was this morning in the prelims.
And the champion here, we got a chance to hear from her after the race, Ali Dio. Sounds like she was, excited by it, but definitely discouraged that might not be as fast as she thought would make the team. But this is what's fun about the next couple days of racing. Other opportunities. The team is very open at the moment in terms of athletes that are competing in that roster space
and
too.
I think she mentioned she has a number of events still to come
Yes,
to
absolutely.
tonight. Not tonight, but throughout the rest of the week. Plenty more opportunity to qualify.
Smiles all around there for the medalists. The multi-class women's 100 breaststroke. And we have one more podium. I will be honest, I'm starting to get excited. In the corner of my eye, I see the women's ready room for the 400 freestyle, and I've got some goosebumps coming.
I can tell you that it's just about standing room only on our side of the stands, and I'm the vast majority, if not almost all of them, are here.
We call it the summer Macintosh effect.
The summer Macintosh effect is in full effect tonight.
But speaking of, there is too a Nicholas Bennett effect. I truly, watching him at the Paralympic Games this summer was such a highlight and a joy for me. I cried on the podium with him every time he did. It was so emotional to see how much those moments meant to him. And as mentioned in his post-race interview, but he got to carry the flag for Canada in the closing ceremonies, an absolute star for not only the swimming team, but across all sports at the Paralympic Games for Team Canada. So really, really special. And really strong here. Can we just talk about all medalists are over 900 para points here in this men's 100 breaststroke.
Very high quality event here in the men's 100 breaststroke. James LaRue, bronze medalist.
Looks like they missed the memo. I do see Nick Bennett over there, so he's walking onto the screen right now. Looks like Fernando and James may have gone to their cool down. It is, for those of you back at home, it is on the other side of the pool, so the athletes do have to make their way over. And throughout the days, hopefully they'll be getting the memo that is where they have to be and reporting to right after a race.
Oh, I think we got one showing up here.
Oh, there we go, James LaRue.
Yep, he's back. Represents University of Laval. Here are your medalists.
Nick's like, wait a minute, we have to smile here.
Corralling him for the photo. Oh, there we go.
Fernando's there.
There we go with all three now.
There's the medalist. A really strong performance there in the men's 100 breaststroke multi-class. The champion, Nick Bennett. He swims the SB14 category, He's a Paralympic champion, so quite legs to stand on here. And he is getting his award for being the men's Paralympic swimmer of the year.
Swimming Canada awards being handed out to our athletes who are here at our World Trials. But with that, it's time now for our next event. After this commercial break.
And we're getting set to welcome the A finalists of the women's 400 freestyle, featuring former world record holder in this very event, Olympic medalist in this event, Summer McIntosh.
Well, Brittany, what are we looking at here tonight in this women's 400 freestyle?
I mean, I'll say it once and I'll say it again. All eyes on lane number 4, Summer McIntosh. The time she went last month was her second fastest ever, and guess what, Jason? She was under world record pace at the 300-meter mark. She was racing against one of the GOATs in this sport, Katie Ledecky, who holds the fastest time in the world this year. And I spoke to Summer last month, and I asked her if she keeps an eye on her competitors, and she said it's always good to be aware of their success and what they're doing, but she always wants to raise the game. We'll see if Summer's able to do it here tonight.
Here we go, women's 400-meter freestyle. And off we go. Lane number 4. Keep your eye on that in the middle of the screen. Summer McIntosh, the former world record holder. She's put up the number 2 fastest time in the world so far this year. A time of 3:58.2.
And in lane number 5, Ella Jansen, we didn't get a chance to chat about it before the race, but she was out really fast this morning, 2:01 at the 200. She's going to want to stay as close to Summer as possible if she wants to get onto the Aqua A standard of 4:10.23, but she was right on it this morning and looked very smooth and relaxed on the way to it.
Well, we're not going to get too excited at the moment. She is under world record pace. It's only the first 50, but we're going to watch and see how this race develops for McIntosh in lane number 4. We'll see if Jansen in lane number 5 can get underneath that standard out very quickly. 27.22, a tenth of a second faster than she was back in 2023 when she did break that world record.
Let's see what she flips at. 56.95. A little bit above her personal best time at this point. But the way Summer is swimming, I think, is important to note because she has to kind of play around with her strategy in this event. She's often gone out really fast and then faded slightly on the last 100, but it's not easy when Arian Timmis's world record time comes back in a 58. So this is something we're going to have to keep an eye on throughout.
Well, and this, as you mentioned, is part of the swimming that she is trying to develop. And we mentioned Ledecky, the greatest distance swimmer of all time. She is still learning. She is still changing things in her approach to the race. And so no doubt McIntosh is as well. 126.56 at the 150-meter mark. That is still solid. It is still under world record pace. We'll see what kind of strategy she employs here. Now she comes to the halfway mark, so she's going to want to be 155, 156. We'll see where she goes at the 200, 156.42. Looking very solid, Brittany.
She is still under Ariane Titmus's world record pace, a little above where she flipped at her Canadian record pace. What I like for McIntosh is the tempo right now. You can see her speed is moving really well through her arms. She's got great turnover. Her legs have stayed involved throughout. I do want to note as well, Ella Jansen still in the mix and still under that standard to try to get herself on that world roster.
Well, let's watch McIntosh as she turns here. She's still lapping under 30 seconds, and this is where it's been a challenge for these last 350s. She's always been able to blast out to that 250-meter mark, and then this is where the race changes between her, Titmus, and Ledecky from the 250 through to the 400.
And the time we're going to be looking for here for Summer's personal best is a 2:55.84. That's what we'll be looking for. Is she under it when she flips?
And she is, and that is a 29.6. So that
Here
is,
she comes, Summer
that is the
McIntosh.
first time in her career she has ever gone all 650s under 30 seconds.
And she is currently under a world record pace. The crowd is getting on their feet. Summer McIntosh just over a 50 to go here in Victoria in the 4 and a free.
So we want to see her down at 326, very low, maybe even 325 as she comes to the 350. And look at this, 325, 1-2. Now the world's record stands at a time of 3:55.38, Brittany.
And she changed her gear there when she flipped at the 300. We talk about changing strategies. Summer McIntosh is here to make a statement in Victoria on night number 1.
And look at the legs on this finish. She is not let up at all. She's actually picking it up as she comes to the wall. Keep your eye on the clock. 3:55.38. World record again. 3:54.18. She demolished it. Demolished it, Brittany. 3:54.18. What an incredible swim.
I am at a loss for words. I believe that Summer was capable of breaking a world record here, but did I think it could come on night 1 by over a second? I am literally shaking. I don't have words right now. That is the fastest performance ever by a female. So a solid time if you're a young male and growing in this sport.
And I just want to say before we forget, because we're going to be talking about Summer all the rest of the night, Jansen underneath the cut, best time for her, 4:07.36. There she is, Summer McIntosh, destroying the world record tonight, 3:54.18. What a heck of a swim.
And she's shaking it out. She's got a lot of races to go. She just broke the world record and she's full business mode. She knows that she has a lot of races here to come. A full second under the world record. Jason, I'm speechless. I think after now I've figured out how to talk about Summer and I haven't quite figured it out yet. This is phenomenal. She said she feels really good in freestyle, but I'm at a loss for words. We're going to hear what she has to say.
Let's hear what she has to say. Chris Mark Watson down on the pool deck with your winner and world record holder again, Summer
Ladies and gentlemen, new world record for Summer McIntosh. Summer, when you finish races, you're usually pretty composed, pretty together, but I saw you pretty excited at the end of that one, slapping the water. You dropped over a second off the time that came in from Titmus. Was this a target tonight?
Going into tonight, I knew that my training has been really good these past few months, and I knew that I could do something special. So being able to input my training in doing that, I mean, I didn't think my training would be 54.1, but I mean, I'm really happy with that overall.
So you were just above, about a half second above your Canadian record pace until that last 100, and you just took off on the final 100. Did you have a bit of a strategy around the back half of the race?
I mean, yeah, to be honest, I didn't just really feel a lot of pain in that. I think I just felt so strong throughout, and that's never been the case in the 400 freestyle for me. The last 100, I'm always really, really hurting, but I flipped at the 200 and I was just cruising, so I knew that I was having a strong swim, so I knew that I could tell by the crowd and the way they were cheering that I was probably close to the world record, so I really tried to push that last part for them.
Now, here in Victoria, this pool has seen a number of world records over time, dating back to the '94 Commonwealth Games with Kieran Perkins in the 800, the 1500, the Pan Pacs in 2006 with a bunch of world records. Did you know about the history coming into this building? Have you seen the plaques around the pool?
yeah, there's a bunch of records up there. It's really cool to see, and knowing the history, I always try to become a part of that. So I think I did that tonight, so overall I'm really happy.
What do you say, Victoria? Do we need another plaque on the wall for Summer McIntosh in the 400 freestyle? A new world record at a colossal 3:54.18.
Getting to watch Summer continue to perform at this level is the perspective it's given her now. Like, you watched her break that first world record, and it was excitement, don't get me wrong. But I feel like now, after a few years, there's a whole different appreciation she has for it. I spoke to her last week, and what kind of took me back the most is she said, like, I'm almost kind of like figuring things out, but it was like, oh, I'm also an 18-year-old that at this stage in my life, I would kind of be figuring things out too, right? Instead of going away to university, she's made a few coaching changes, which we didn't even get a chance to talk about, but she's been training in France with Coach Fred Verneau, and that is a storied program, and she's really enjoying it. She's training in altitude for some of the first times in her career, so she's trying different things. She's been happy with what she's been putting up in practice. She's thrilled with where she's at. She's a happy swimmer, but that smile to me said it all there, where she just looked pure, not just relief, but just like, I'm loving the process I'm in. I'm confident in where I'm at, and that just sets us up for, oh my goodness, we still have 5 more nights of racing for Summer McIntosh.
And you know what? It's so great to see. Always be learning, and that's exactly what she's doing. From the world record the first time she did it in 2023, and to hear now, and you look at the race and the race that she swum, incredible.
Well, we're still speechless here, but the junior final now in the women's 400 freestyle in lane 4 from Calgary, Clark.
So we did have a few juniors in our A final, and the top qualifier here in the junior final, as Brittany mentioned, Maxine Clark, University of Calgary Swim Club, time of 4:20.12. The World Junior Qualifying Standard set out time of 4:16.52. See if we can get any of those swimmers underneath that as we shift our focus to the juniors.
How does one shift your focus right now? That's what I want to know.
It's not easy, as you well know, but we'll do our best, because Clark here, lane number 4, up in 29:20, solid first 50 meters.
I hope you guys can hear in our voice, like, not only do we have a job to do here and we want to do it well, but we are such fans of the sport, and we have such appreciation when athletes do performances like that. You're left speechless constantly, and it's a really beautiful thing. We're getting to see some really, really incredible things here tonight.
Well, and something Chris mentioned when he was talking to Summer about how fast and how historic this pool. It's been around for a little bit more than 30 years, came up the 94 Commonwealth Games. We've seen a few world records, and they mentioned the plaques on the wall. Summer now gets to add her plaque to this wall here at the Saanich Commonwealth Games pool for a world record broken.
Almost 20 years. It's been almost 20 years. I think it's really powerful to know this facility and where it's come from, and the establishment it's had. I know in my day, this was the home of so many incredible swimmers. This is where Ryan Cochran trained, Hilary Caldwell. It was a hub for the best of the best, with the great Randy Bennett coaching here for quite some time. And it used to be my favorite place to come train. It's also the pool that I made my first national team in. So I know a lot of us have great memories here, but once Pan Am Pool came in Toronto, I feel like we've been selfish on the East Coast and we've been taking all the meets. But I will say it's really great to be back on the West Coast and be able to watch really fast swimming.
Well, and it's very exciting. World record Summer McIntosh, for those of you just joining us, you just missed it in the previous
I don't
heat.
think anyone's just joining us, but maybe.
Hopefully not, you didn't, but Maxine Clark leading the way through the first 200 meters, halfway point now, 2:06.85. She's 0.3 of a second up on Abby McLeod in lane number 5. As we get going on to the back half of this race, this junior final, the 400 meter freestyle.
Lots of strategy in the 400 free. I mean, I didn't even get a chance to talk about it all in the A final, I feel, because it was all eyes on record pace. But typically you see some people that love to get out fast and then try to hold on. And then you have some that like to negative split, others that like to really build into the race throughout. But you know what? Strategy was really the name of the game there for McIntosh. And I'm sure we'll be chatting about this as days goes on. But The one difference between her and Titmus and that world record mark previously was really on that final 100, and that is where she made the biggest difference. Their differential was 1.7 seconds in terms of their times. They were only separated by, half a second of the world record mark previously, the 3:56.0 and then the 3:55 mid. But now Summer McIntosh just went a 3:54.1, so I don't even know why I'm still bringing these up, but I would like to say that's where she's made her changes. That's a strategy she's worked with her coach a lot on, and this is the type of time where you look for it to pay off.
At the 300-meter mark, 3:12.6 is the split time by Clark in the middle of the pool, so she's lapping pretty close to what she needs to do to get down to that 4:16.5. This morning she swam a 4:20.12. She's leading the way in the middle of the pool beside her in lane number 5, Abby Clark, the Winskill Dolphin swimmer. She was just 5/100ths of a second behind her this morning at 4:20.17. And look at that, turning at the 350-meter mark, separated by just 2/100ths of a second.
It's shaping up to be all you want to see in these finals is having a couple athletes that go head-to-head and challenge each other. So this is really, really great for the sport to see these two with 15 meters to go. It's a neck-and-neck battle, lane 4, lane 5.
And how can these two not be inspired by what they just saw in the pool by Summer McIntosh? And it's McLeod in lane number 5, picking up the momentum as they come to the finish. Time 4:17.73, winning our junior final. Clark is second, 4:18.23, followed by Mia Thomas in lane number 8. Great swim for her out of the outside lanes. Down to 4:18.59.
Always like to see it. Abigail McLeod, though, will take that junior final. 4:17.73. 3 athletes under that 4:20 mark.
Some solid swimming out of the juniors as we get ready for our third race. Our final race for the women's 400-meter freestyle is going to be our B final. Here we go, the best of the rest and the 400-meter freestyle into the water. Your top seed is lane number 4, Taryn Weatherhead from Kishu, junior age swimmer. She swam 4:25.15 this morning in the prelims. Out looking and strong, as is lanes 5 and lane 6, Sarah McNabb and Peyton Lee. These top 3 swimmers, actually the top 4 swimmers, all within 0.3 of a second of each other this morning. Chloe Walker through the first 50 in a time of 29.50. Look at this. The top 5 swimmers all within 1/10 of a second between 29.50 and 29.67.
A very close start to the race and continued momentum. Like you said, when you watch somebody break a world record in a race that you're about to swim, you got to think that gets you on a confidence boost going into your race.
Well, there's certainly nothing wrong with the pool, that's for sure. As we get to the 100-meter mark, it's lane number 6 out in front, Peyton Lee from Brock. Turns around in a 1:01.16 Lee this morning, a 4:25.54. Harrison and Weatherhead all there as well. Swimming in lane number 3, lane number 4. Actually, the first 6 lanes all within striking distance of each other, coming out to the 150 turn.
I'm just looking up the fastest times in history in the women's 400 free, and the top 25 are all from Titmus, Ledecky, and McIntosh, and it's just like a back and forth. But other than Titmus going a 3:55 in the Olympic Games and a 2023 World Champs, like Summer now is in a whole league of her own with that 3:54.1.
First woman ever to swim under 3:55, Summer McIntosh, 18 years of age. One heck of a swim here for everybody who saw it at the Saanich Commonwealth Place, world's record broken.
And it was a sold-out crowd, and you got to think you got your money's worth if you came for this. So that's my shout-out to anyone at home. I'm pretty sure we're sold out throughout, but get yourself to Saanich Commonwealth Place and witness history here.
Well, an
excellent swim as we go through the 200, and it is time of 2:06.08. Taryn Weatherhead turning around first at the halfway point. Field now starting to separate themselves. Brittany, as you mentioned, there's a couple different strategies in this 400-meter freestyle event, and now through the first half of the race, things are starting to shake out a little bit differently in the field. Weatherhead carrying this lead to the 250-meter mark, splitting 33.0. Got 2 seconds up on Ella Harrison swimming in lane number 3. Peyton Lee not that far behind as well, out in lane number 6.
Yeah, Weatherhead's got a nice tempo. You can see she's breathing every 2. She's aware of where everyone is in the rest of the field. But she's got a nice bounce to her stroke. She's got her legs involved throughout. One more 100 to go here in this women's 400 free.
Here we are coming into the 300. Weatherhead in lane number 4 from Kishu's going to turn around first. 2:06.0 at the 200. 3:13.3, so that's a 107 split. She's on pace to be pretty close to 420. A huge drop from where she was this morning at 425.
She's only 16 years old as well, so she was an alternate for the junior final. She'll try to drop some time against some of that field here.
And coming up to the last wall, still looking strong. Something you've mentioned before, Brittany, the white water on the feet, how much energy they've got left, and she turns at 3:47.0, 50 to go. And coming with just 25 meters left to go, Kishu's Taryn Weatherhead in lane number 4. They'll be looking to improve upon that time that she did this morning, 4:25.15. A close race for second and third and 3 and 6. It's all Taryn Weatherhead in lane number 4, Kishu. And here we go at the finish. Weatherhead a time of 4:19.24. A great finish. Taryn Weatherhead 6 seconds faster than she did this morning.
That was a solid swim from start to finish. You saw she really built into that third 100 and separated herself in the fourth 100, but a commanding lead there for Weatherhead. Gets the beat, which is always fun. We're going to get set for the medal ceremonies here in the women's 400 freestyle. So that means we get to talk a bit more about summer, but I do agree with you. We had to take a moment there for Ella Jansen because phenomenal swim, a lifetime best time, another athlete that, you know, has had highs and had lows and been there and been shy. And at the Olympic trials, although she did qualify for the Olympic team, she was kind of just off in a few of her events. And so she's dealt with having to come back from adversity, and being a freshman at the University of Tennessee, it usually takes a little bit of an adjustment when you're in a new program. Speaking of new program, I mean, Summer McIntosh is another example. When I talked to her about all these coaching changes, she said to me, you know, I'm very used to doing this and adapting to new coaches. She also said she has the skill sets to blend into a program and take that confidence with her. She said, I want to win, not just swim 5 events at Worlds. I want to win 5 events at World Championships. And this is a whole new level of athlete than we've seen before here in Canada, at least, and globally. I mean, she's making massive statements like that with confidence, and her coaches put her in a perspective to understand that that's possible. She said she has 100% trust in that spread right now where she's training in Antibes, France. But now she's made the decision, of course, to train with Bob Bowman next year as well. She's going to go to the University of Texas program, at least, not go to school, but go to the University of Texas and starting this new chapter, this new exciting moment in her life. Man, oh man, am I looking forward to what the future looks like, because again, she's only 18.
And of course, Bob Bowman, for those of you that know or don't know, he's the coach of Michael Phelps, and he's also the coach that led Leon Marchand to win all of his individual gold medals in Paris last year. Summer McIntosh joining his program coming up in the fall, and here we go with the medal presentations. And you know, Brittany, I did misspeak on that best time by Jansen. It was just off by 1/10 of a second. right at her personal best, so great swim by her.
Ella Cosgrove was also a finalist at the Olympic trials last year. In this event, she finished 4th, and her time there was a 4:12. So for her to go a 4:11 here, very encouraging. East Swim represents. I haven't got a chance to say that yet. If it's not obvious, that was my club team. I have a lot of pride in that program. 4:07.36 for Ella Jansen to take the silver medal and to qualify for World Championships with this race.
And here we go.
The new world record holder in this event, 3:54.18. Talk about statements sent around the world. I'm pretty sure everyone in the swimming community has eyes on that performance. We thought maybe it was possible, but to break it by over a second, unbelievable there for Summer. And I saw her swim 7.5K last week in the middle of the week. So I'd like to think she's not really rested for this. And what makes me most excited about that is if that's night number 1 rest, as the week goes on, she's only going to continue to get faster, Jason.
Well, plenty of exciting events to come up for Summer, including the 800 tomorrow,
I'm
which
so excited.
Could be a big one. We've seen sort of the resurgence of Ledecky of late the last couple of months. Not that she really went anywhere, but back on to lifetime best for her. So it should be a very interesting 800 tomorrow. There she was, Swimming Canada's Female Swimmer of the Year. First opportunity to present that award to her.
I think she just won the Junior Swimmer of the Year as well, because she is only 18. So she's got the Junior Swimmer and the, of course, overall Swimmer of the Year.
We forget how young she is.
I know. I feel bad for all the 17-year-olds in Canada right now, if this is what you're competing against. Unbelievable here. Summer McIntosh, the world record holder. She took that title back. She once was hers. It got taken from her. And this is what makes the sport so fun. She now has it back going into World Championships. But, Jason, the one thing for Summer, actually, we talk about hurdles that she's overcoming. This is something, oh my gosh, is she going to win the junior category? I'm just thinking about this.
I think technically
I guess she will.
She could, because she doesn't turn 19
Yeah.
until September. Although I think it's a year of birth.
Oh, we're going to find out.
With the World Championship, so.
But, okay, back to my thought, excuse me, while we wait for the podium. I think what most excites me is she's come to these trials, and all of her best times are actually from the trials in the 400 free specifically. And then just the day of the competition at the Worlds and the Olympics, it hasn't really lined up. So I think the next test for McIntosh is figuring out how to improve upon this and build upon this performance when it comes to the World Championships.
Well, and I think we're seeing some of that with the sort of maturity of the strategy that she's putting into the race, and put together an incredible race here tonight. But you can compare that one to the way that she broke the world record in 2023. And this race swum a little bit differently, and she really brought it home in those last 350s. This is our junior medalist, our junior podium.
Maya Bezanson, another E-swimmer. Oh, now Toronto. I shouldn't speak too soon. Shouldn't speak too soon. Madison Krieger, though, an athlete that I'm really excited to watch continue to grow, especially looking forward to the 200 backstroke later in the program. I do believe she's got a bright future ahead there. She'll take the silver medal in the juniors.
There's Ella Cosgrove, junior winner.
It must be birth year then.
I think so. I think it takes her out just by a couple months. So. Very good swim by Cosgrove, as you mentioned, an improvement from trials last year down to 4:11.6. Bright future for her in the 400-meter freestyle. Get ready for the men.
Yeah, and this is going to be a great one. More to come soon.
Salut, grand-maman. Hey, je pensais justement à toi. J'ai vu aujourd'hui Charles Toupin. Ah, t'avais un film pour lui, non? Grand-maman, on dit plus ça. On dit quoi d'abord? On dit un croche. Un croche? Qu'est-ce qui est croche? Non. C'est une expression. Dans mon temps, on disait avoir le béquin. Béquin? Mais c'est pas comme avoir le kiss? Pas à tout.
Your finalists in the men's 400-meter freestyle. Well, this should prove to be a very interesting race, Brittany.
Yeah, and talk about an east-swim pickup. I lost one, but I gained one in Lauren Wigginton. There we go. I think this is one that, I mean, we're going to constantly be talking about the gaps in the distance freestyle on the men's side. That's not a surprise, but I think this excites me about what's potentially right there. It's close. That's not a surprise, but I think this excites me about what's potentially right there. It's close. And for Lauren Wigginton, it is very close. He'll have lane number 4. He looked super poised this morning with a time of 3:51.06. Right there with him, though, Ethan Eck. He'll be in lane 5. He dropped 2 full seconds faster than his entry time. I think when we talk about athletes that we're looking forward to in the future, Ethan Eck is one of the future of this program. But we can't kind of leave out Eric Brown. He was a heat winner as well this morning. They had a great race between Jordy Vichez and Eric Brown. Eric Brown in lane number 3. Lauren Wigginton, Olympian from last year. In the 4x200 freestyle relay, and they're off.
And so Wigginton, his best time sits just over that World Aquatics qualifying time. He went 3:49.05. He was 4th at the World Junior Championships in the fall of 2023 in this event. He has the 15 to 17-year-old national age group record. Into second with his swim this morning was Ethan Eck when he swam a 3:51.59. As you mentioned, Brittany, it was the best time by 2 seconds.
And Lauren, similar to the way I spoke about Ella Jansen in the last heat, he's in his first year right now at the University of Michigan, so he's adjusting to a new coach, a new program, a new schedule, and also coming off of yard swimming. So this long course, the first race is always a little bit of a question mark as to what they're capable of. Ethan Eck, though, looking really strong. Lauren staying right there with them, as is Eric Brown. It's a middle of the pool, as you would expect here at the first 100.
Well, Eck has been improving all year long. I got the opportunity to see him race at the Canadian Open in Edmonton back in April. He put up some best time in lane number 5. No, it's Brown now turning 4/100ths of a second ahead. 1:25.40 to 25:44, and Wigginton 25:56. This is a very tight men's 400-meter
And
freestyle.
Vilches is still there as well. They're all separated by only about a half a second at the moment, but the pace is going to have to continue to pick up if we want to get an athlete on that national team in this event.
You're exactly right. They do have to all go about 3 seconds better than they did this morning. We'll see what they are at the 200. And it is Eck now taking back the lead at 1:55.0. It's not quite where he was this morning, but everybody seems to be quite relaxed on the way out here in this 200. A different approach.
Yeah, Wigginton, you could tell, just completely picked up his tempo off that flip turn, so he's going to look to try to get into a next gear. The coaches on the side of the pool are all saying, pick it up, boys. I know this is fun when it seems like you're all kind of chasing each other, but sometimes this actually proves as a disservice because they think they're going faster than they are.
Well, and now we see Brown taking back the lead. He's at 2:24.5, so that A standard is going to be pretty challenging at the pace they're at right now to get to it at 3:48.15. The B standard, 3:50.43, that might still be within the realm of possibility, but they're still really going to have to pick it up over the last 100-plus meters.
Eric Brown now making his move out in lane number 3. He's picked this third 100 as his focus. it still continues to be a four-man race going into the final 100.
And Vilches, who you mentioned earlier, he's moved himself up into third with that 50, 254.1. He's 4/10 back from Brown. And here come the legs and big arms of Ethan Eck in lane number 5. Wigington trying to pick up and go as well. You said he was sitting back and very relaxed. He's now moving. And I think he's moved himself into third as it comes to the last wall. Vilches, Eck, and Wigington and Brown right there too.
It is still a four-man race going into the final 50. I hope everyone at home is on their feet like we are here.
And they're moving. 28.3 for Eck, 28.3 for Wigington. They need just a little bit faster to get down to 350. And Vilches picking it up in 6. Oh, there we go. Vilches in 6. Eck in lane number 5, battling to get to the wall first. And it's going to be Ethan Eck, 349.57 by 6/100ths of a second. Another best time. That's 4 seconds on the day for Eck. He didn't make the A cut, but he's under the B cut. By almost a second.
And can we just talk about Jordy Vilches wearing an Ohio State cap? So he's one of those swimmers that is coming from the NCAA programs. Actually, a lot of this heat is, but Ethan Eck trains out of the U.S. Phenomenal for him to get his hand on the wall to qualify for what could be his first ever Canadian senior team. A massive best time there out of lane number 6, though, Jordy Vilches. A massive best time for Ethan Eck as well. What a performance, and what an exciting race coming down to the final touch.
Well, he negative split. We were talking about that a little bit earlier with some of the other races, and Eck was 153 and 158 this morning. Tonight, 155 and 154. Totally different strategy, but it really paid off for him.
And we said at the halfway mark they were all kind of playing this cat and mouse race of should we push it, should we not? You don't want to be the one to make the move too early and then everybody else kind of takes over. But it was pretty obvious that Ethan was coming back with a little bit of an extra zip, and he wanted this. He wanted this one bad. He just did a big fist bump. They announced that he's likely on the roster for World Championships this summer, now winning the event and being under the B cut. What a performance there for Ethan Eck, his first ever senior Canadian team.
That's one of the more exciting men's 400-meter freestyle we've seen here in a number of years.
A long time. We'll hear what he has to say now.
Victoria, put your hands together for Ethan Eck, winner tonight in the 400 freestyle, and becomes the 8th Canadian ever under the 350 mark in that event. Ethan, you got to be pretty excited with that time here tonight.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I've always wanted to make under 50. And I'm just happy to finally do it.
What a battle, too. The 4 of you coming down like freight trains on that last 50. Did you know where you were in the field, or was it just put your head down and get to the wall as fast as possible?
I saw where I was at going into the 350. And that last 50, I just put my head down. Last 15 meters would hurt a lot. Shout out to Jordy. Thank you for that race. That was amazing.
What does it mean to you? You're under the Swimming Canada secondary standard for selection to the World Championships in Singapore. What does it mean to you to be on the senior national team to represent Team Canada this summer?
It means the world. I've always wanted to go to Singapore.
You got a lot more swimming here to come. Ethan Eck, congratulations on a great swim here tonight in the men's 400 freestyle.
Well, some very exciting swimming in the men's 400-meter freestyle. That was your winner, Ethan Eck. Tipping under the 350 mark as we get ready for the junior final now.
And Ethan Eck was one, actually, that was still under that junior age group in the last one, so we'll cross him off the potential for junior worlds. But Aiden Kirk as well and Simon Fonseca out of the A final are eligible, but now is a fun part for this heat to go and challenge the times that were just posted in the A final to see if we can get someone on that junior worlds roster.
So that's standard at 354.30. It's going to be pretty quick. Our top qualifier here into the junior, 359.7. That's Markham's Max Borebiev. See if he can make the drop like the men did in the previous heat.
as our junior final gets ready to get underway at the 2025 Bell Canadian Swimming Trials at the incredibly fast Saanich Commonwealth Place pool.
I think it's pretty obvious that this pool is quite fast, and I think that's the fun part about getting to watch athletes now for the next 5 nights. They know that they can go best times in this pool. Once you see a world record smash like that, it gives you a lot of excitement.
Here we go, the junior finalists, as we mentioned, in lane number 4 from Markham, Max Vorbiev. He is the top seed at 3:59.78. All of these junior age swimmers round about 4 minutes. The spread is only 3:59.7 to 4:01.80, so all within 2 seconds of each other. So we'll see how close they stay. We'll see how close their strategies are in this race, as we saw a big 180 in the last heat from Ethan Eck. Out quick in the morning and then a negative split swim at night. Always be learning. So a great effort there by Eck. The top swimmer right now is swimming in lane number 8. That's Jordan Shaper from Nepean, Canada, leading the charge through the first 100 meters. He was the 8th qualifier, 4:01.80 this morning. He's out in front at the 100, splitting at 56.85, followed by Carswell in lane number 7, and then Aiden Jorfy up in lane 6.
This is quite a close field already shaping up across all 8 lanes. You can see only separated by about a second across the board. Outside smoke, what we like to call it in lane 8 when there's a leader. You'll see that Jordan Shaper right at the 100, 56.85, taking them out. We talked about, in the last heat where they're playing a bit cat and mouse and deciding on who the leader was. But I think that's what's fun about definitely watching some of these junior and B finals. If somebody wants to make a statement out in the far lane, the rest kind of have to decide if they're willing to make a challenge with them or they're going to stay behind.
No, it's great to see that and see the swimmers reacting to what's happening in the pool and not just staying in their lane. It makes it very, very exciting because we were waiting to see who was going to break from that previous heat in the A final, and it took an awful long time for it to happen. But the Rabbit here in lane number 8 still has the lead. Jordan Shaper trying to pull an outside smoke. A roll of gutter ball is another one, as they say, Brittany, in the outside lanes.
And we've seen people qualify for the Olympic team on the outside lane. I think famously it was David Sharp who qualified back in 2012 in the Turner flyout in the outside lane. Just this past week at the U.S. trials, there was Claire Curzon who won the 200 backstroke out of the outside lane. So it definitely does not rule you out. You have a lane, you have a chance. It's always been that way. But you kind of assume you're going to see some of the fastest performances in the middle of the pool, and then there's some that have different thoughts on that. They take it on their own.
Absolutely, and he's not, he is swimming his own race down in lane number 8 and doing a great job. And he's actually put himself in a position here where as he's breathing into the inside of the pool, he can see each and every one of those other 7 competitors. So he is in a real advantageous position right now as he comes to the 300-meter mark. He's pacing so close to 4 minutes. 30.8 there, 2:59.5. He's going to have to pick it up to get under that 4-minute mark. Shaper still with the lead, but here comes lane number 5 now, really starting to pick it up. Oliver Blanchard from Point Claire, 4:00.07 this morning, and Blanchard looks like he has taken over the lead from Shaper as they come to the last wall.
And talk about different strategies. Blanchard has decided to bring in his legs here, 29.3 with a 50 to go.
A great last 50 there, 350-meter mark at a 29.3. And look at those legs and that energy out of Blanchard in lane number 5, 25 meters to go, and he looks like he's still picking it up. It was a great drop down to that 750. He was a time this morning of 4:00.07. He's going to go underneath that. He's going to go under 4 minutes. And it's Blanchard. A time of 3:57.32, a 3-second. These juniors under that 4-minute mark with Shaper, Brennan, and Vorobyev all under 4 minutes.
And he's only 15 years old, so when we talk about some athletes that we're going to have to keep an eye on, that's a really great performance at 3:57. Happy with that, winning the junior final.
And he's very, very happy with that swim, and as he should be, a 3-second drop from this morning. Oliver Blanchard, Point Claire.
And we only have one race left here of night number 1. It's been nothing short of incredible to start off these championships, but we want to give the energy that is due for this final heat, the B final and the 400 freestyle. Then we'll break down the night. We'll tell you what our highlights were. I think we might have a similar highlight tonight, of course, but we'll find that out after this race. First, we've got the men's B final, the 400 free.
Last race of the night for the men, last race of the night for day 1 finals here at the 2025 Bell Canadian Swimming Trials. It's kicked off with one heck of a bang. There's lots of great things still to come, including this race, the best of the rest, and the men's 400-meter freestyle. Hugo Janvier from Point Claire in lane number 4. Fastest time this morning out of this group at 3:59.78, 14/100ths of a second back. Swimming in lane number 5 from the UBC Thunderbirds, Olivier Risk. Time of 3:59.92. The spread again under 2 seconds for this entire field.
And I said it earlier, but getting the win in your heats and the preliminaries is a huge opportunity to try to get into these finals and potentially the difference between getting in the A and B. But a solid performance there for Hugo this morning. He's swimming in lane number 4, but had a really great heat win. So that gets him lane 4 when it comes to this B final. And maybe we'll see him later this week cracking through to that A final.
Right now, Zachary Breezy in lane number 2 from Point Claire as well has got the lead. He was 4:01.47. He's swimming at the top of your screen in lane number 2. He's going to be first to the 100. And Parisi turning in a 56.69, a little bit more than a half second up on lane number 1, who's going with him as well, Artem Volodin. Turned in a 57.26. Now, Parisi in lane number 2 has got himself out there in a similar position that we saw in the last heat with Jordan Shaper, who's put himself in an outside lane, but he is out far enough that he can see the entire field to the inside of him.
And only two full seconds separated all 8 lanes this morning. So in terms of the 400s we've watched, this might be our tightest field so far. Not surprising to see them stay pretty close, but it really is all lane 2 at the moment. Parisi, like you mentioned, he's making a statement on this opening, and we're going to have to see if anyone tries to reel him in on the final 200.
So as we come now to the halfway point, Zach Parisi this morning, he split time of 156.48 through the 200. Let's see where he is here tonight. It's going to be very similar to that as he turns now, time of 157.05. So we'll see if he's got much left in the tank. This morning, Parisi was a 4:01.47. Almost a second and a half up on Olivia Risk, sitting in lane number 5. And Risk was one of our 2 swimmers under 4 minutes, swimming 3:59.92. We'll look at lane number 3. Edouard Duffy from Camo in Montreal. He was 4:00.08. He's starting to move up. And Parisi still doing a good job holding these splits under 30 seconds. You can see a good drop from the time that he did this morning. He still looks long and smooth. Some solid water coming off of those feet, Brittany, as he comes to the 300. Risk trying to move up in lane number 5. Still more than a full body length behind with just over 100 meters left to go.
Risk is coming on strong here with 100 to go. We talk about athletes that are going to be making their final push, and he is somebody to watch, but not letting him get anywhere close. Zach Parisi still is your leader.
Well, he closed the gap by 0.8 of a second on that last 50 alone. If Parisi sees him, he might be able to hold him off, but it's Risk with the momentum right now in lane number 5. Coming up to our last wall, and it's going to be Zachary Parisi from Point Claire in lane number 2, turning out in front, 3:27.6. He brought it back under 30 on that last 50 at 29.8. Risk splits 30.0. Looks like we might get a couple swimmers under that 4-minute mark here tonight in the B final.
And it is still a close battle. I don't know if they see each other. I would likely to say that Risk is breathing the other side, so he in the tank here.
And so is Parisi breathing to the left. He doesn't see Risk. But he does get his hand to the wall first, not by much, by just 12/100ths of a second though. 3:57.59 Zachary Parisi. It's almost 4 seconds better than he warning. Olivia Risk in lane number 5, also at 3:57. A drop of 2 seconds from his prelim swim. As we finish the B final and we finish day 1 finals here at the 2025 Bell Canadian Swim Trials. That was the last race of the night, Brittany.
It was. There are going to be a few time trials finishing off the night. But for our championship finals, that was it for tonight. Parise takes the B final of the men's 400 freestyle. We're going to get set to watch the podium in the 400 free.
So we'll have medal presentations. We'll talk about the Bell performance of the night. Not sure that one is up in the air, but we'll get to that after these medal presentations. The men's 400 meter freestyle.
Just getting set on the other end of the pool to present the medals here in the men's 400 freestyle. Again, what a performance there for Ethan Eck. First ever national title for him. Now he'll get a chance to put his name on that roster for the World Championships this summer coming up in Singapore. And such a great race too for that gold medal.
Oh, it was very exciting, and as we, I mean, to have 2 men under 350 here in Canada for the 400 meter freestyle is not something that happens very often.
Yeah, the last time we've had people racing this event on the international stage at a high level has really been the Ryan Cochran days, and it's been almost a decade since we've seen Ryan compete. Of course, his last Olympic Games back in Rio 2016.
Yeah.
I always talk about Ryan Cochran, but we are in the birthplace of Ryan Cochran, so I feel like this week it's going to be even more evident that I have a lot to say about Ryan Cochran.
It's pretty much the pool that he built, isn't it?
It
in terms
really is.
of Victoria area swimming.
Well, and distance freestyle in this country. Like I have so much, you know, I'll talk to anybody I can about the growth that he gave this sport. When we went to international competitions, Ryan was the sole, like, constant medalist. He was the one we always looked to. He was the one we were cheering on the loudest because he reached the international podium consistently. And then, you know, now we're in a whole different era, especially on the women's side, where we expect medals of almost every athlete. And so it's really nice to be reminded of where it came from and where it started when we see how far it's come.
And as you mentioned, he's still a Canadian record holder in this event. Goes back to 2014.
3:43.46 is that time. So still about 6 seconds off for these men, but it'll be fun to see where they're at in a couple of years.
Promising young swimmers. There's Eric Brown. He was in for the bronze medal. Great swim by Vilches. Gets himself in the top 10 all-time Canadians with that swim, 3:49.63. And the youngster Ethan Eck, the man of the hour here in the men's 400 meter freestyle. He won the event 3:49.57. That was making him the 7th fastest Canadian all time in the men's 400 meter freestyle.
And what a close battle that was. Probably the most exciting race neck and neck of the night. Just 6/100ths of a second to get the difference between going to World Championships and unfortunately just shy of it. So heartbreak for Vilches.
We've had a few close ones tonight, haven't we? And
1/100th in the men's 100 backstroke, yeah.
And I think though the closer the race is, over the longer the distance, the more painful it is when you think about this 1/100th.
Yeah, you think about every little detail of your race and you think back to it and you're gonna fall asleep tonight and probably tomorrow. But I do hope for the benefit of Jordy that he's able to focus on the other races he has to do. An athlete that can finish that strong in the 400, I think, has some confidence in the 2 and as well in the 8. So,
well, I mean, you look back at where he was at trials last year, only 356. So huge improvement by Vilches, getting down and cracking that 350 mark.
Very encouraging, for sure.
Next will be our podium for the junior swimmers here in the men's 400-meter freestyle.
And I talked about the 200 free, but along with fellow Canadian as well, Tristan Yankovitz, he was on the 800 free relay at NCAA's for the Ohio State Buckeyes. They placed 10th at that meet, so that's quite a high standing for a relay on the men's side. So that's another one we're gonna have to keep tuning into, because Yankovitz was arguably one of our breakout swimmers last year at the 2024 Olympic trials, but he's also had an incredible NCAA season, so the hope is that that translates well through to these championships as well.
There we go, and I suspect that our Ethan Eck should be the gold medalist for the junior.
There you go, he is.
Yeah.
Ethan Eck, the current junior and senior champion here in the men's 400 freestyle. Getting his podium and his, oh my gosh, what are they called?
Well,
the little
chicken
peeps.
from
They're
Peeps.
I know, but they're the pool peeps. That's what they're called, the pool peeps.
From chickenfarmers.ca, great sponsor of Swimming Canada for the last number of years. There's our junior champion here at the trials, Ethan Eck. Great swim by Aiden Kirk down at 354.41.
Okay, should we give our performance of the day?
Performance of the day. I think that we should. Brittany, please.
My vote has to go to Summer McIntosh, because obviously world record performance, over a second faster than anybody ever. I'm still trying to find the words to describe truly how remarkable that swim was. I'm really proud of the way that she changed her race strategy and just attacked the second half of that race. It was phenomenal. I also think it's really nice on day one of a meet to set the tone like that. So, yeah, my performance of the night has to go to Summer McIntosh. What about you?
I don't think there's any question that the bell performance of the day goes to Summer McIntosh for absolutely destroying the world's record in the women's 400-meter freestyle. It was one heck of a swim.
It was phenomenal. I have a little bit of like a runner-up for the Taylor Ruck 5800 back. I think that one was really exciting, and I'm really encouraged to the future of what's possible there in this second wave of Taylor Ruck, I'm going to call it. So with that, we're going to let the stream take over for these time trials to end the night.
Yeah, so thanks for joining Brittany and myself. This is the 2025 Bell Canadian Swimming Trials. We do have time trial events happening, which you can feel free to watch. We'll see you back here tomorrow for day